Close the doors of your mind, close the gates of your mind, close the gates of your palace, your bais, your ahal, your ohel, your tent, your mishkan, your mikdash, the body that you dwell inside, the sentient body that you dwell inside, the temple of Yahuwah. And bring your mind to the center, bring your body to the center, bring your mind, your makashba, your yetzer, your imaginations to center. And cast down every imagination and thought that will exalt itself against the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach. For today is the day of freedom. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us to observe Pasach, to keep in memory as Zakar, Nakabah, to keep in memory the things that happened before we was even here, before we was even created. Before the foundation of the world, the bar was here. And he said, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, Yahuwah Elohim. For today we acknowledge the one who made all of the heart of the earth, the highest mountains, where all people will flow to the house of Yaakov to be taught about the one being who came and died and rose and ascended for our sins. Yahushua Mashiach, sent by his father, Yahuwah Elohim, from the highest Shamayim. So we acknowledge him, the one who made all the rivers and streams of the earth, the one who gives life and understanding to our yod and our kaf and our lave and our mind to control our yod and our kaf, and our regal where we feet, and our feet where we go, we wear our sandals and we come out of Mizraim. The one who allows us to hold our staff in our hand with our right hand, with our yod. The one who allows us to walk out with our kneading pots and walk out of Mizraim, knowing that his man shall not live by bread alone, but by every debar that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah, Yahuwah Elohim. So as we move forward coming out of Mizraim and remembering why we came out and who brought us out in Ahaba. Right, so this is the book of Dabarim, Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 1. Dabarim chapter 4 verse 1. It says, and now, O Yasharal, listen to the statutes and rules that I am teaching you and do them. So the story is only real, the actual accounts are only real to those who do them. Right? He said, be ye doers of the bar, not hearers only, deceiving your own self, that you may live and go in and take possession of the land that Yahuwah your Elohim of your fathers is giving you. You shall not add to the bar the word that I command you, nor take from it. Where do you hear that at? In the same thing you hear in the book of Hazon, Revelations. Right? The very same thing. Go to the last chapter, same thing. That you may keep the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim that I command you. Your eyes have seen what Yahuwah did to Baal Peor, for Yahuwah your Elohim destroyed from among you all the men who followed Baal Peor. Right? So none of those men should be among you. It should be in you. The seed shouldn't be in you. The thoughts of them shouldn't be in you. It shouldn't even be in your inward man right now. But you who held fast to Yahuwah your Elohim are alive this day. That's the only reason you're here, because you holding fast to him. See, I have taught you statutes and rules as Yahuwah my Elohim commanded me, that you should do them in the land that you are entering to take possession of. Why would he say that? Verse 6, keep them and do them, for that will be your wisdom, Hakmah, and your Binah, your understanding in the sight of the peoples. Because you need Binah and Hakmah. You need that. Who, when they hear of these statutes, so you mean you got to speak, and they got to shema, will say, surely this great nation. So if you don't believe you are a nation, then you have to believe it just like that. You are a nation. What nation is wise and understanding? It says, surely this great nation, who when they hear all these statutes will say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. You should be have hakmah, wisdom and knowledge and understanding. You should be a wise and understanding person out in Yahuwah's garden. You should be a wise and understanding person in every single thing you do. Every single microsecond, millisecond of every day. You should. For what great nation, that's what you are, that's what you represent, is there that has a Elohim so near to it, as Yahuwah, our Elohim, is to us, whenever we call upon him. Only if your prayers ain't hindered. But see, think about that. And what great nation is there that has statutes and rules so righteous, as all this law, this Torah that I set before you today? So you think about all that, right? You think about the first month, the first 14th day. Right? We just left the 13th day, and now we're entering it. The sun now went down, and now we're going to the 14th Yom in between the evenings, and we're right at evening on the Achad. He's a Pasach, and we're moving towards the first day, the 15th day of the first month, and we're still on the count too. We're still on this count, right? This is 2 Chronicles chapter 29, 15 through 17. 2 Chronicles 29, 15 through 17. They gathered their brothers and consecrated themselves and went in as the king had commanded, by the words of Yahuwah, right? So they went in, right? So we're still on this count. It's by the words of Yahuwah to cleanse the house of Yahuwah. So you need to still be focused on cleansing your house. It ain't stopped. Because your body is the house. The priest went into the inner part of the house of Yahuwah to cleanse it. And they brought out all the uncleanness that they found in the temple of Yahuwah into the court of the house of Yahuwah. And the priest, the Levites, Louis, took it and carried it out of the brook Kidron. So you have to still be identifying what is still not proper to be inside of you right now. Now we're still moving towards the 16th day. And they began to consecrate on the first day of the first month. Now we passed that. And on the 8th day of the month, they came to the vestibule of Yahuwah. They came to the porch of Yahuwah. So that's 8 days. Think about what 1 Corinthians chapter 7 says. Dearly beloved, being that we so surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, well, that's Hebrews 11, but we're talking about let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach, perfecting Qahalath in the fear of Yahuwah. Them first 8 days, you start looking at what in your ruach man you need to get rid of. These are all a part of this transformation, and you start to see why these is important. Because the 8 it means circumcision. That's what circumcision, we do it on the 8th day, and you remove the foreskin of the yard. But then you start looking at what you're doing, what you are doing. It says of the month, it says, and on the 8th day of the month they came to the vestibule of Yahuwah. Then for 8 days they consecrated the house of Yahuwah, and on the 16th day it says, then for 8 days they consecrated the house of Yahuwah, and on the 16th day of the first month they finished. So you still there? We're still in there. We're on the 14th day right now. So that means after the sun goes down to this day, then you have another 2 more days to get yourself in a certain state of being. Why? Because there's a certain type of being you have to be. And it's 8 days. Why? Because 8 days is important. Circumcision. Right? And that's important, right? So this is the Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1, 14 through 19. He says, so why is all that important, right? It says, and Elohim Yahuwah said, let there be lights in the expanse of the Rakia of the Shamayim to separate day from night, Le'il. And it says, and let them be for signs, Eoth, and for seasons, Mu'ed, and for days, Yom, and for years, Shana. And let them be lights in the expanse of the Shamayim to give light upon the Arad. So you think about those first 16 days. Right, then we get to the first 16 days of this whole time when you started counting from the time that the 4th day came in, they say the first day of spring, the new year, then you started to count all the way here to this point. And you're counting to a mu'ed, and that's what we're on right now. It's the 14th day of what? the first month. And it says, and it was so, and Elohim Yahuwah made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and a lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. Why? Because we're now in nighttime. We're in night. See, the sun that went down, we're in night. Now the lesser light takes over. He says, so why is this important? This is very important. And the stars. And Yahuwah set them in the expanse of the Rakia of the Shamayim to give light on the Arats. That's why this is the whole point of giving light to the Arats. That's what you are right now. As you're keeping the Mu'ed, you are giving light to the earth. That's what you're doing right now. And it says to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate light from darkness. So you mean separating light from darkness. That's what's happening right now. It's a separation of light versus darkness. So if you ain't keeping the mu'ed in the seasons right here, right? If that's not a part of your character, mu'ed, then this right here is you. Darkness. And you're not being a lesser light in the earth and bringing light to the earth. Because there's a full moon tonight. Right? He said, why? Why is that important? Because the greater light, the sun, right? The greater light, the sun that rules the day is right in front of the moon. Right in front of the moon. It's right in front of the moon right now. Right? And it says, and Yahuwah Elohim saw that it was good. And guess what? It was good too. He liked that. He liked when the moon is directly in front of the sun. He likes to see that. Face to face. Why? And there was evening at Abyb, and there was Bakar the fourth day. Why? Why is that important? Why is the fourth day so important? Why? This is the 14th day. It's the fourth day from taking the lamb on the 10th day. It is. It's 4 days from the time you took the lamb. Today. Right? And this is all a part of it. And then no way you can, if you don't understand that, there's no way you can understand 2nd Chronicles. Because we're still on the 16th day of the first month. And then you have, this is your wisdom and understanding inside of the Goyim, the nations. Why? So that word for evening is Ereb. And it starts with an ayin. And you have to see it. That's why I put it real big on this thing, right? So I had to make sure I put it real big. Ayin. That means you got to see it. You got to experience it. You got to watch. It means evening, sunset, right? That's what's just happening. Dusk, nighttime, right? Because you're a lesser light. The lesser light rules by night. And guess what? You have to see it. And guess what you got to also do? Because the Rosh means chief, mind of the house, the bayit. That's why we talk about removing things. You got to clean the house out. Why? Because you have to be able to see in the night. See in the dark. And the only way you're going to see in the dark, you got to have oil on the inside of you in order to take the things out of your house. You got to see in the dark. Right? So that word for a night, he says he separated day from night. That word for night is layil. Layil. It's layil. Lamet, yad, and lamet. Notice it had two lamets with a yad in the middle of it. Right? And it says right here, it means night, opposed. It means gloom, protective shadow. It also means night. It means a twist, but it also means adversity. Adversity. Why? Because it's a night of much watching. He says, so why is this important? This is a night of much watching. And he said, man, how does this even happen? It's the 14th day, 10 days from the 10th day, and Leil means adversity. This night. It means adversity. And this adversity that this man each had to go through was a culmination of your salvation. It was a culmination of your salvation when you put it all together, right? So, and it says, let them be for and then when that verse when it says, and let them be for signs, ayot, and for seasons, mu'ed. That word for seasons is mu'ed, right? Mim, wu, ayin, and dalaf. But it means appointed time, appointed place, meeting, appointed meeting, sacred seasons, appointed season, an appointment, fixed time, a festival. When you stay on the timeline and you do it exactly when the sun goes down, you see everything aligns. Everything. It doesn't, when you do it at the appointed time, that's what an appointment is. I got an appointment at Rev, and I got to be doing something at a Rev. It's an evening sacrifice. And when I send it through the portal, it already know, okay, they done clocked in when the portal opened up. Because you got to send the signal out, let you know that the portal opened up, you got to send it. You got to be there exactly at their appointed time. It go that serious. People say, yes, it is that serious, right? And guess what? It's a place of meeting, a signal, right? It's all a part of it, right? That's why when you follow Yahushua, you follow him all the way through, and then you'll start to see him, right? This is Shemuth, Exodus chapter 12, 1 through 6. And Yahuwah said to Moshe in Aharon in the land of Mizraim. So he said, man, you're in the land of Mizraim, in the land of the cops. Right? That's what Mizraim means, but it means the land of Ham. You know, Ham's family, that little sneaky, conniving, sorcery-filled family that created rebellion, right? This month shall be for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Tell all the congregation of Yasharal that on the 10th day of the month, every man shall take a lamb according to their father's house. A lamb for a household. So are you a part of a household? If you are, you Barak. You be like, man, I don't care how small the household is. If you a part of a household, your house, you Barak right now. He be like, oh, yeah, you Barak. And if the household is too small for a lamb, then he that is nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of persons. This is why, according to what each can eat, you shall make your count for the lamb. Right? That's how it is. In Mizraim, that's how it was. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male, a year old. He said, man, he had to be exactly 1 year old. It had to happen on his birthday. It has to. It has to happen on the day he was born. On the day the child was born, it had to happen. On the lamb, it had to be a year old. That means today, that his birthday would have been, he had to be exactly a year old. Why? Because if it didn't happen on those days, then guess what happens? And amazing, they do it on what day? The 10th day. You'd be like, so why is this important? This is important. You may take it from the sheep. It says, you may take it from the sheep or from the goat, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of this month. That's what we on right now. He said, man, he said, you should keep it right now to this day. When the whole Adah of the congregation of Yasharal shall kill the lamb at twilight. That's why you got to be on time. You got to kill it at sunset. He said, man, you got to do that thing at night. You got to come get the lamb. You got to, matter of fact, you got to do everything on the timeline. You got to be on time. And people say, no, you ain't got to be on time. Yes, you do. Because all this is a part of the culmination of who Yahushua Mashiach was. But that's the 14th day. Right? He said, take you a sah that's without blemish. Right? But that's all a part of it. Right? Going to verse 6 or verse 7. Continue on. Then shall you take some of the blood, the down, and put it on the two doorposts. And he said, then you gotta put some blood on the doorposts, right? Of course, ain't nobody doing that. You're gonna have flies and all type of stuff. Who gonna do that today? Nobody. But at the same time, Yahushua did do some things. And the lintels of the house in which they eat it. So it says, and they shall eat the flesh basar that night, Layla. So everything happens at night. So if you ain't a night person, this ain't gonna be a good walk for you, right? He said, man, I gotta stay up. He said, man, nighttime. Yeah, everybody had a nightlife. People went Friday night, right? Saturday night, right? Everybody go out at night. They be partying, doing all types of stuff at night. So this shouldn't be hard, right? It says, and roasted with fire. with unleavened bread, matzah, and bitter herbs, right? So all these are a part of what? Pasach. And they shall eat or call it. Now notice that word call, right? It's in there. But then you start to see that first word when Yahuwah told Adam in the beginning, every herb you see is going to be for food and for the animals, right? So notice he got bitter herbs in here. But he said, why is the lamb in here though? Right? It says, do not eat any of it raw or boiled, but roast it, its head with its legs and its inner parts. You shall let none of it remain until the morning. This is why you gotta be on time. you gotta be on time. Right? You gotta be on time. Right? It's not a game. Anything that remains until the morning shall burn. Right? In this manner you shall eat it with your belt kagar fastened, your sandals na'al on your feet, right? On your feet, regal, and your staff, makel, in your hand, right? So you got to do this in between the evenings, right? You got to make sure you do it. So it's better to do it immediately, right? You're going to be late, though, right? But you'll see why. You'll see why. In this manner you shall eat it with your belt kagar fastened, your sandal na'al on your feet, regal, and your staff, makal, in your hand. You shall eat it in haste, right? So that's why we be on time, right? Because you gotta do it in between the evenings. You gotta do it. It is Yahuwah's Pasach. This is why you gotta do it in haste, right? There's a certain time sequence you gotta be on in order to understand this fully, right? For I will pass through the land of Mizraim that night, right? So that's why it's a very, very key. You gotta be on time. And I will strike all the firstborn of the land of Mizraim, both man and beast, right? So that's man and beast. And all the gods of all the gods or Elohims of Mizraim, I will execute judgment. So if you got any of those gods on the inside of you right now, you need to, how you say, move a yule out of your tent. And you don't want to get pregnant and give birth to that. And it says, and I will strike all the firstborn of the land of Mizraim, both man and beast, and all the gods of Mizraim, I will execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. The blood shall be a sign for you on your houses, where you are. On your houses where you are. So wherever you at, it's going to be a sign. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mizraim. So think about that. So that's why you want to be on time. Right? You got to do it in between the evenings, but still, you want to be on time. But it's all a part of the whole day. Right? It's all about remembering what happened. Right? Because it's all a part of it. Right? So this book of Exodus 12, this is the Aramaic Targums, Exodus 12, 3 through 5. It says, tell all the day Adar of Yasharal that on the 10th day of this month, every man shall take a lamb according to their father's house, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, that he and the nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of the persons, according to what each can eat. And you shall make your count for the lamb. Why? Because you want to be greedy. You want to be, like we talk about spirits of sleep, right? We talk about the ruach of sleep, insatiableness in the belly. That means you can't be satisfied in your stomach. You don't want to be too full tonight. I assure you don't want to go to sleep tonight. That's the whole point of it. That's why it says according to what each can eat, right? You don't want to be, okay, I'm going to eat for 5 people, 2 people. Nah, you just really you're insatiableness in the spirit of ruach of sleep coming on you. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male, a year old. You shall take it from the sheep or the goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of this month. Right, skipping down. Right, so I put, when does the 14th Yom start? The 13th day at evening, right? That's what happens. That's what twilight is. The 13th day at evening. Then it is sunrise. Then you have evening, morning, and then when the sun go back down, that's a full day. So he said you on a time sequence. Right, this is the Arabic Palestinian Targums. Same verse. Speak to all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, saying, in the length of this month, whose time is appointed for this time occasion and not for the coming generations, right, they shall take a lamb for a house. So why would he say that? He's trying to show you the lamb of Yahuwah going to take away the sin of the world. Because this natural lamb is not taking away your sin. It's a protection from spirits. It's a protection from the destroyer. But he's trying to show you, he said for future generations. Why would he say that? Because, but if the men of the house are fewer than 10 in number, in proportion to a sufficient number to eat the lamb, he and his neighbor who is nearest to his house shall take according to the lamb, and shall be a perfect male. The son of a year he shall be to you. So you got to be a male. This is the whole important. That's why I have to take it on the 10th day, because it has to be a male, because it's a yod. It's a masculine energy. That's why it happens on the 10th day. It's a yod. That's why the yod is so important, right? And it says, and that's why the yod is a male sex organ, right? I mean, that's why it's open right hand. It says, the son of a year old shall be to you from the sheep and from the goats. Ye may take it. And it says, and it shall be bound and reserved for you until the 14th day of this, according to the right of all the congregation of the assembly of Yasharal, between the sons. Why? Because you got to be in between the evenings. Right, you're going to get it out of here. So that word for lamb is sa. It says one from the flock, a sheep. Sheep or goat. Right? Because you know sa, you got the shun, is 300. The ha is 5, equals to 8. Because we know the 8 equals to, we just talked about it, the 8th day. They cleansed their body for 8 days. Then they did it for another 8 days to the 16th day. And the lamb, the sa that every man is supposed to take equals to 8. Then Yehudi equals to 8. Yahuwah equals to 8. The bar equals to 8. Gan, the guardian, equals to 8. Mazon, balances, equals to 8. Right, you start to move into what? Circumcision equals to 8. All this is all a part. And amazingly, 8 days you cleanse yourself, and another 8 days you cleanse yourself. It's all about circumcision. This whole first 16 days is all about circumcision. It's all about circumcision. How you gonna get a lamb? You gotta circumcise, you gotta take it from his mother. You gotta steal it. Right? There's a reason why he used a lamb. He said, I'm gonna steal a bear cub. Now, he ain't gonna kill no bear cub and offer it up. That's the reason why he ain't put a bear cub, because that bear cub would come after your behind. He'll kill you. You already know you dead. Take a lion cub, you dead that night. There's a reason why he chose a lamb. Right? There's a reason. Right? This is Shemuth, Exodus chapter 12, 40. We're not going to read all of this, but yeah, we are. Exodus chapter 12, 43 to 51. And Yahuwah said to Mashah and Aharon, this is the statute. We talked about them statutes and rules you got to keep. Didn't we just read that? This is the statute of the Pasach. And no foreigner shall eat of it. What do you mean foreigner? That means somebody who hasn't shown themselves to be a part of Yasharal. They haven't been, something has not happened to them. But every slave that is bought for money may eat of it after you have circumcised them. So nobody just can just do this, because this specific male had to be circumcised in order for you to be redeemed from your sins. Because he had to be circumcised. Why? He had to be, in order for him to redeem you from your sins. Everybody that claims Yahushua Mashiach was redeemed by a man that was circumcised in the foreskin of his flesh. It says, no foreigner or hired worker may eat. It shall be eaten in one house. Ye shall not take any flesh outside the house. And ye shall not break any of its bones. All the congregation of Yasharal shall keep it. If a stranger shall sojourn with you and would keep the Pasach to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised. He said everybody, so that means no strangers with a whole gang of men. You got gang male and female, and then none of them circumcised in heart. Women in heart and men in heart and flesh. He said don't do it. Why? Because it's a specific type of person that has to do this. If a stranger shall sojourn with you and would keep the Pasach to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised. Then he may come near and keep it. Notice it's the only, you got the only mu'ah where you got a specific requirement to do it. When you go to Qahalath Lakam, it's like, right, it's different. But when you start to look at this, it's like, no. And it says, then he may come near and keep it. He shall be as a native of the land. That's the only reason you're doing it, because you got to be a native. You know how you got Indian reservations, they have those things, and they be like, okay, are you from this tribe? You can't do this, right? But no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. None. There shall be one law of the native and for the stranger who joins among you. All the people of Yasharal did just as Yahuwah commanded Mashah and Aharon. They did it just like that. And on the very day, Yahuwah brought the people of Yasharal out of the land of Mizraim by their hosts. He said, everybody came out. But guess what? That word for circumcised is mul. It means to circumcise, to cause to be circumcised, to be cut off. Right? So we talk about cutting off. This whole first 16 days is about circumcision, cutting people off, cutting things off. Right? It means by implication to cut, destroy, to figuratively to be blunt. And he destroyed all Mizraim, to circumcise. He circumcised us from Mizraim. He circumcised us. He destroyed everything. Cut in pieces. That's what happened. Right? But uncircumcised, right? But no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. That word is arel. And amazingly, you guys see this. You have to see it. Iron. You got to see this. If you don't see this, you're going to die. You understand? People say, yeah, something going to happen to you. You have to see it. You have to. It means properly exposed, technically uncircumcised person. You got to see that too. You got to see, okay, I'll be wrong if I did this. So therefore, let me not do that. And if you don't see it, you're going to do it anyway. And something going to happen. You got to see though. But he said, are we blind? He said, if you were blind, you would have no guilt. But being that you say you see, your guilt remains. There's a trueness to Yochanan chapter 9, verse 41 in every aspect of your life. Right? This is the book of Yochanan chapter 7, 16 through 24. So Yahusha answered them, my teaching is not mine, but his who sent me. If anyone's will is to do Yahuwah's will, he will know whether my teaching is from Yahuwah or whether I am speaking of my own authority. Because you know why? If you don't see that you uncircumcised and you understand, you be doing it on your own authority. The one who speaks of his own authority seeks his own kabod. That's what you be doing. You be seeking your own kabod because it ain't what Yahuwah said. But the one who seeks the kabod of him who sent him is true. And in him there is no falsehood. That's why we read in the book of Proverbs 30, it says, Yahuwah, do this before I die, please. Remove all falsehood and lying from my mouth. Right? And I assure you, if you can see that you are uncircumcised, don't do this. And guess what? You won't be a liar. And you won't be practicing falsehood. Has not Messiah given you the law? Yet none of you keep the law, right? To Torah, right? And that's what some people do today. Even though they read, no uncircumcised person should take it, but they don't keep it though. They don't observe it. Why do you seek to kill me? Now you see why. The crowd answered, you have a demon. Oh boy, here we go. Who is seeking to kill you, right? You must got a devil. Yahusha answered them, I did one work and you all marvel at it. Messiah gave you circumcision, not that it's from Messiah, but from your fathers. Notice that's in parentheses. That means they added that to that. So that means not that it's from Messiah, but from the fathers. So why did they put that in there? They try to confuse you to make it look like that circumcision that he said for Pasach don't really matter. You know how it is. It makes it like it don't matter. But then you start to look at it like, okay, so why are you trying to make me doubt what Messiah said about being circumcised to take Pasach? But then you trying to point it back to the fathers, Abraham. But I already know it's from Abraham. But still, what's the point of doing that? And you circumcise a man on the Shabbat day, right? So that means that Shabbat day turned out to be an 8th day of a child being born. If on the Shabbat a man receives circumcision more, so that the law of Messiah may not be broken, are you angry with me because on the Shabbat I made a man's whole body well? What is he talking about? Did he say circumcision that they supposed to do Pasach is wrong? Did Yahusha say that? No. Yahusha, why would he do that? He came in the volume of the book. He would not say that. But guess what he said? Are you angry with me because of the Shabbat? I made a man's whole body well. Do not judge by appearances, but judge right judgment. He says, so what did I just do? You circumcised a person in the foreskin. I circumcised a person, and I healed their whole body. I removed Ayul out of their tent. I circumcised them just like they do first 8 days of the priest. They removed the filth out of the house. I just did that to that whole man's body. And then I did it for another 8 days. Removed it out of his body. That's what he just did. And it says circumcision for Pasach to separate you from sin. That's what it is. That's what Pasach is. He separated that man's whole body from sin. He circumcised. He cut it off. So he's like, why are you condemning me? You saying I got a demon? You saying I'm practicing falsehood? You saying I got all this stuff going on in my head, and I know what I'm doing. Yahusha like, I already know. What's wrong with y'all, right? I thought y'all said y'all read the Torah, you know it, right? Right, this Bereshit chapter 17, 1 through 14. When Abraham was 99 years old, Yahuwah appeared to Abraham and said to him, I am Yahuwah Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless, that I may make it my covenant between me and you and may multiply you greatly. Then Abraham fell on his face, right? That's what Messiah did. You see, when Yahuwah be speaking, you need to hit the ground. There's no point in standing up. What's the point? You know how people say, I'm going to stand up. No. Yahuwah's talking. You need to bow. And Yahuwah said to him, behold, my berith is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. This is your wisdom and knowledge, wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham, right? There should be some changes being made right now. And guess what it says? For I have made you a father of a multitude of nations, and I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my berith between me and you and your offspring after you throughout your generations for an everlasting covenant. That's an eternal covenant. You know what the eternal is? You know, eternal covenant. To be Elohim to you and to your offspring after you. And I will give to you and to your offspring after you the land of your sojourning, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their Elohim. And Elohim said to Abraham, as for you, you shall keep my berith, you and your offspring after you throughout your generations. This is my berith, which you shall keep between me and you, and your offspring after you. What does he say? What does he say? What does he say? Every male among you shall be circumcised. Oh. that makes you a native. You know, it says a native. And you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and this shall be a sign of the covenant, bereath, between me and you. So, when he said all the males need to be circumcised, he wasn't talking he was talking to everybody that was native. Between me and you, and he who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised. Now you see what Yahushua said, I come in the volume of the book. It's written of me to do thy will, Yahuwah. So Yahushua himself, you circumcise somebody according to Messiah. I circumcise people too. What do you think Yahuwah doing right here? Yahushua said the son can only do what the father do. So whatsoever the son does, the father does, the son does likewise. He said, I circumcise too. Every male throughout your generations, whether born in your house or bought with money from any foreigner who is not your offspring, both he and who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money shall surely be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off. I'm going to circumcise you. I'm going to cut you. You see that? And if you say, why? Oh, so people think it's a joke? When he said everybody has to be circumcised to take the son. He said, oh yeah, you know. Not that it was of Messiah, it was of the fathers. It's the same thing Messiah said. You see how they put that parentheses in there? They be trying to confuse you. But then it's the same thing he said. The same exact thing. So how are we going to put that in there and try to deceive somebody and make it look like it ain't nothing? Oh, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. Okay. And then you know what happens? Somebody get deceived, and whoever put that in there, you in trouble on the day of judgment. He said, remember he said, we read it, he said, don't change anything out of it in the book of Devarim. But people did it anyway. It says, and shall be cut off from his people, he has broken my bereath. You broke the covenant. So you're saying, oh yeah, you know, the 7 mu'ahs, the 7 periods, and all those things that deal with 7, right? All that stuff, because you know Pasach is Kagmatsu, but the Pasach itself is something that is sacred to Yasharal and Yasharal only. It is a sacred thing for Yasharal, the 12 tribes, only. And if you got to be circumcised and be joined to the 12 tribes in order to do it properly, if you're going to do it. It's just the truth. Whether you like it or not, right? Like they say, whether you like it or not. Right, this Bereshit, continue on, Bereshit 17, 22 to 27. And when he had finished talking with them, Elohim went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all those born in his house or bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin that very day. Man, he wasn't playing. And amazingly, he did it that very day. I wonder what day that was. I wonder what day that was. And amazingly, guess what it says? And as Elohim had said to him, and Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. So you look at that, right? 99, 9 plus 9, 18. Use the 9, right? But then you say, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. 13, right? 1 plus 3 is 4, right? Matter of fact, you see what? 4 is what? 430 olive is $1. And then you got the 9, that's the T. We see mud, clay, male and female. But you see all these things taking place. That very day, Abraham and his son, Ishmael, were circumcised. Because all this was a part of the covenant. This is before Yitzhak came into this place. This is before, Abraham's son came into the world. Before he came into the world. Circumcision was already here before he came into the world. Yitzhak. So it had to already be here before he came into the world. That's the same thing your household had to be before you had a male child, before he came into the world. Circumcision should have been there. Okay, 8 day old, you should have been circumcised, right? But then now you gotta go back and be a child again. You gotta do it all over. Why? Because that's why I said, except the man be born again, you will not see the Malkuth. You gotta go back and be 8 days old again. You gotta get circumcised. You gotta do it all over again. If you don't, you ain't gonna see the Malkuth. People think, oh yeah, I'm gonna get. I said, okay. It's a prepared place for a specific type of kahans and kahanim and priesthood, male and female type lifestyle, right? It's not going to be what you think. This is the whole point. Well, there's a benefit to being attached to Yasharah. People say, yeah, it is. It is. But it says, but it had to be here before you got into the world, before you got here. It makes sense. People say, yeah, dude. Since we're circumcised with him, it says, and all the men of his house, those born in his house, and those bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. So it's a benefit. Why? Because now you're a native, you're a part of it. You're a part of the bereaved. You're a part of the covenant. You're a part of the bereaved. You're a part of the covenant. And you know what happens? You're a part of the household. You're a servant. You're a men servant, men servant, right? You're now a part of it. And it says right here, this Luke or Yah 2, 8 through 21. Because circumcision had to be here before he came into the world. And in the same region, there were shepherds out of the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Oh, it's a night of much watching. It's a night of much watching. Shepherd, shepherdess, it's a night of much watching. It's a night to be much remembered, much observed. And a Malachi of Yahuwah appeared to them, and the Kabbalah of Yahuwah shone around them, and they were filled with great fear. When you're on the timeline. And the Malach said to them, fear not, for behold, I bring you good news. What good news? Good news of great joy that will be for all people. Huh? All people? What does he mean? We just talking about some of the good news. He's like, man, it's good news. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior who is Mashiach, the Master. And this will be a sign for you. You will find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger, and suddenly there was lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the Malach a multitude of heavenly hosts praising Yahuwah, saying, Kabod to Elohim in the highest. And on earth, shalom among those with whom he is pleased. Because you ain't no peace, saying my Elohim to the wicked. People say, why Yeshayahu 57 say that? Those whom he is pleased. Because if Yahuwah ain't pleased with you, I assure you, go ahead and do Pasach without being circumcised. He's not going to be pleased with you. You got to wait a whole year to get back and get standing on it. He's going to punish you for that whole year for doing it. But then at the same time, it's going to work out for your salvation, though. All things work together. Verse 15. When the Malach went away from them into Shamaim, the shepherds said to one another, let us go to Beit Lakam, house of bread. Let's go to the house of bread. Cause we going. That's what do you mean? It's Kag Matzah, man, house of bread. But you need to go to a house with some bread in it, cause that's what's gonna be there. Cause man shall not live by bread alone, but by every debar that comes out of the mouth of Yahuwah, right? And see this thing that has happened. That's the only way you're gonna see it. You ain't gonna see it without eating that bread, going to the house of bread. You gotta go to a house with some bread in it, some lakam, right? Some unleavened bread gotta be in there, which Yahuwah has made known to us. And they went with haste. Oh, he said you gotta eat it in haste. It's the Yahuwah's Pasach. Notice how they eating that in, going in haste to eat to the house of bread, to Bith Lakam. And they gotta eat it in haste. It's Yahuwah's Pasach. That's how you know. He said, how do you know? I just read it. What time was this? We already know what time it was when he was born. It happened on his birthday. And found Marim and Yusuf and the babe lying in the manger. And when they saw it, they made known the saying that had been told them concerning this child. And all who heard it wondered at what the shepherds told them, right? Because the shepherd, that's how the shepherd's going to know. Shepherd got to go to Beit Lakam, to the house of bread, and they got to go in haste and keep the Pasach. They got to have unleavened bread, Qahalath, and they got to go hurry up. That's how these shepherds don't know. That's why it says these are greedy dogs. They never have enough, right? What they do? They are shepherds with no understanding. You know what Yeshayahu said? We read it. It said, but Marim treasured up all these things, pondering them in her heart. And who did that? Who was the person who did that before? Who was the person who took? He says, and all who heard it wondered at what the shepherds told them. But Marim treasured all these things, pondering them in her heart. Who was the person who did that? With Yusuf. Yaakov. When Yaakov said, I, your mother, and your 10 brothers gonna bow down and worship you, you saying that gonna happen? You see that? But then you start to see why they have 10 and 11 in Bereshit 37. Because when they came to see Yusuf, what happened? They had Benjamin was at home, and Yusuf was already there, and then they came and they bowed to Yusuf, the 10 brothers, and they were like, we are not spies. But then when Benjamin finally came to them with their brothers and their father, then all of it became fulfilled. But then you start to see how everything culminates. But then at the same time, you have to understand it fully. Because if you don't understand numbers, you're going to mess up. Right? He said, I don't even know how to count. Yeah, you do. Because you ain't going to get to this day. You ain't going to get to this day if you don't know how to count. And Mary treasured up all these things, pondering them in her heart. You know, that's what Yaakov did in his mind. He's like, man, I got to think about this. What he said, I'm going to keep that thing. And the shepherds returned, kaboting and praising Elohim for all they had heard and seen as it had been done to them. And at the end of 8 days, oh, here we go. At the end of 8 days, so you think you're going to get around it? At the end of 8 days, he was circumcised. So he will what? He was circumcised. Why was he circumcised? According to the covenant he gave to Abraham. And so he could take Pasach. Or you mean, be the fulfillment of Pasach. In order for him to be offered on Pasach. And it had to be a male lamb without blemish, which means it had to be circumcised, and he had to obey the Torah. But guess who had to help him obey the Torah? His parents. His parents already had to obey when he came in to get circumcised to fulfill the Torah. Now you see why he said, except the man be born again, he cannot see the Malkut. You have to be born again and become like a child and be circumcised and then come like him. Then you can be transformed into him. You have to. I don't know how clear that can be. That's like as clear as it can be. He was called Yahusha. Oh. Why would they call him anything else other than the Yod? Because the Yod had to be circumcised. It had to start with the Yod. It has to start with the Yod because the circumcision was made on the foreskin of the Yod, of the male organ. It has to start with the Yod in order for it to be correct. The name was given by the Malach. It's a name that was given by another Malach who opens with his right hand. It's the same thing. A Malach, a male Malachi. It's the same. It was given by a Malach. Open right hand. The only way you're going to know it, only way Isha going to know it, a Malach had to open the right hand up to her husband. He had to do it that way. If you believe it any other way, then you believe in something that is. So you don't like that? You're anti. I mean, you go against this. The name was given by the Malach before he was conceived in the womb. See, he gave him a name that started with a Yod before he was conceived in the womb. Then he came into the world. before, when circumcision was already here. So he was just born into circumcision. All of that, right? So this is Esther chapter 3, 7 through 5. Esther chapter 3, 7 through 5. That's what her name means. It means literally a star. A star. It says, in the first month, which is the month Nysn, that's what we're in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast that is, cast lots before Haman day after day. So they were casting lots from the first day of the month Nysn. Guess what? And that's why he be telling, why we got to cleanse ourselves first 16 days? Because of things like this. People be casting lots for you. He'd be like, so you saying I need to cleanse myself? Yeah, you need to get yourself ready. And they cast it in the month after month till the 12th month. So they be doing it the whole year. That's why you got to do it. This is why he said, why we got to keep all these muezzins and feasts and stuff. It's the whole year, man. Do you understand? People casting lots for you. Which is the month Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad, dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from those of every people, and they do not keep the king's laws. Why? Because it's called, this is your wisdom and knowledge and understanding in the sight of the nations. That's what it's called. So that it is not the king's profit to tolerate them. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. If it please the king, Malak, let it be decreed that they be destroyed. Uh-oh. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who have charge of the king's business, that they may put it in the king's treasuries. So the king took his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman the Agagite, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Yahudim. Uh-oh. And the king said to Haman, the money is given to you, the people also, to do to them as it is good to you. This is why he tell you to cleanse yourself for the first 16 days. This is not a much watching. It's a practice. Then the king's scribes were summoned on the 13th day of the first month. Like we just passed that. And then now we're on the time where we kill the lamb. And the 13th day was a specific time for Yahushua Mashiach. Because that was the day he said, where are we going to keep the Pasach at? He said, man, we got to find a place to keep the Pasach. And they summoned them on the 13th day of the first month. Now you see why we cleanse ourselves in the first 16 days. People say, well, you got to make sure everything right. You got to set your house in order. Because you don't know. And an edict, according to all that Haman commanded, was written in the king's satraps and the governors over all the provinces and officials and all the peoples in every province and in its own script, and every people in his own language. It was written in the name of King Ahasuerus, sealed with the king's signet ring. So everybody knew about it. They know about what you're doing now. So please don't be thinking nobody knows. Everybody got a copy of this book, in whatever translation it may be, right? They know what's going on. Letters were sent by the couriers to all the king's province with instructions to destroy, to kill, to annihilate all the Yahudim. Man, think about it. Young and old, women and children. So now you say, man, I don't need to clean the Ayul out of my tent. Yes, you do. Everybody need to get it out of their tent. From everybody. That means everybody, young and old, women and children, in one day. Amazingly, this is a night of much watching. And guess what? It's just one day. The 13th day, you know what it says? The 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar. When was Ishmael circumcised? Oh, the 13th day. He's like, what? He was circumcised the 13th day. And amazingly, which is the month Adar, to plunder their goods, a copy of the document was issued as a decree to every province and proclamation, all people to be ready for that day. So you think they stopped after the 12th day? So you think about it. If somebody really is your enemy, you think they're going to stop after the 12th month? So you got to do it all over again. So you say the first day of the first month, you got to do the first 16 days, and you got to watch. Not as much watching, because you know that 13th day, you got to watch out on that 13th day. You got to think about, okay, these people, 13th day done passed, 14th night, Satan come like a thief in the night after the 13th day, so I got to make sure I'm right? Seriously, people think it's a joke. It says, And the king Haman sat down to drink, right? It says, and the courier went out and hurried by the order of the king, and the decree was issued to Susa the citadel, and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Susa was thrown in confusion. Say what? He sat down to drink, and the whole city was thrown into confusion. Because everybody was all thinking about what's getting ready to happen. So are you in confusion right now? No. But there are some people who are. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. You know why? Because they don't have no instructions on what to do. This is Exodus chapter 12, 40 through 42. The time that the people of Yasharal lived in Mizraim were 430 years. And the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the hosts of Yahuwah went out from the land of Mizraim. It was a night of watching by Yahuwah, right? It's a night of much watching. To bring them out of the land of Mizraim, so this same night is a night of watching. You got to see it. Matter of fact, you need to see it. If you uncircumcised, you need to see it in the evening time. You need to be on time. You need to make sure you're at night. You need to make sure. Kept by Yahuwah by all the people of Yasharal throughout their generations. So you got to do it in between the evenings. You got to do it in between the evenings, though. But at the same time, you might want to be on time. You ain't wrong if you do it in between the evening after and be like, yeah, you know. Because it all culminates, right? But if you don't have no understanding, when that sunrise, or what happened when the sun rose after this night, then you just be doing it in vain. Because think about it. When that sunrise after this night, there's a lot of things that took place. And then, what are you remembering if you don't know what took place? Absolutely nothing. You'd be doing it just to eat food. You know how they just, I'm gonna give you a nice meal, say I did it. No. Then you're gonna be uncircumcised, and that's a no-no. Then you're gonna find yourself in a real big trouble. Right? So don't do nothing with no understanding. It means what? So that word for watching is shamar. It means night watch, right? So if you ain't no night life, it's night watch. Watching, visual, observance. Right? You gotta be observing, right? It must be observed. It's a what? It's a not a much watching kept by Yahuwah, kept to Yahuwah by all the people of Yasharal throughout their generations. So this ain't something that you just skip. You circumcising the flesh. That's why Shaul said, if you circumcise the flesh, man, you obligated to keep all the Torah, right? You gotta do it. You say, why you gotta do it? Because you obligated. That's why he was telling the Goim, make sure you think about what you're doing now. Have you the full understanding of it? Because if you don't, and you mess around and you go and you say you're gonna do the whole thing, and then you mess around and you transgress part of it, you're gonna find yourself like Davarine 28. That's literally what he's saying. Why do you think he said that? You're gonna find yourself like Deuteronomy 28. You're gonna find yourself, you're gonna mess around, you're gonna do what Louis Simeon did. Yeah, man, just get circumcised, man. We'll be good. Not with no understanding, and the only people they ain't know. They ain't have no understanding. They ain't to mess around. He's like, just get circumcised, please. No problem, man. We'll get circumcised. And they killed everybody in there, because that's what, you have no idea. You raped my sister. You mess around, you get circumcised, you hear Yahushua Mashiach, man, you know, died, rose, and ascended. Get circumcised and don't have full understanding, and you go rape somebody. Or you do something outside the Torah, saying it's transgression of the law. Oh, that's the end for you. That's the end for you. Expect judgment. Right? Now, he said, if you was with the other people, you'd be dead. But Yahuwah gonna get you though. You know, if you was with the real Yasharal, full go, full blown, law of Moses kill you in a second. Versus Yahuwah's kind, okay, you did wrong, you get another chance, you get forgiveness, and then mercy, you may lose some things, you may suffer a loss, but you still can be saved type mindset. That's the mindset we got today. If we had the other mindset, none of us would be here. I wouldn't be here. None of the teachers, more pastors be here. Everybody be dead. We'd all be gone. The other people would have killed us. The children of Yasharal would have slew all of us. We wouldn't have been here. That's how you know this is Khan. This didn't even exist. There was no such thing as I transgressed the law and I get a chance to get forgiveness. Who? What? That didn't exist. But now it exists. And ain't nothing how you gonna? Do you don't even deserve to be here? We don't. Shoot, some people owe like 1,000 pieces of silver, 100,000 pieces of silver, more than that, right? How much? Who gonna pay that? I can't pay that. Can you pay 100,000 pieces of silver right now at $82, $90-something an ounce? No, you cannot. You cannot pay that much money for no thousand. How much is that? $82 times 100,000 pieces of silver, right? All these transgressions, right? How much is that? Man, that's so much money. You wouldn't be able to pay that. So think about it. Yeah, I ain't got $8.2 million to pay, right? You got that much money? Right? Tell me where you got it. And then you have enough money to live after that. Right? Nobody. Right? So think about that. That's the whole point of this thing, right? People say, yeah. This Luke 6, 12 through 16. In these days, he went out to the Shamaim to pray all night. That's what I said. You want to follow Yahusha, it's a different type walk. If you ain't a night person, don't. This is a different type walk. If you have to follow him. He continued in prayer to Yahuwah. And when day came, so I'm telling you, you following Yahusha, it's a different type walk. He called his disciples and chose for them 12. Why he chose 12? Whom he named Shalakim. Simeon, whom he named Kaf, and Andrew, his brother, Euchanan, James, or Jacob, Euchanan, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, the son of Alphaeus, Simon, who was called Zela, and Yehuda, Judas, the son of James, the Yehuda Iscariot, Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. Traitor. What do you mean traitor? He sold him out for some money. This Deuteronomy chapter 7, 6 through 11. So after Yahushua prayed all night, he prayed all night and woke up in the morning, he started picking people. So that means Yahuwah specifically told him to pick those people because he prayed all night. These are the people you're going to pick. And the other ones, no. Think about that. Deuteronomy chapter 7, 6 through 11. For you are a people Qahalath to Yahuwah your Elohim. Yahuwah your Elohim has chosen you to be a people for his treasured possession. So who picked those men? He said he chose 12. Yahuwah picked them. He chose 12. Now you see why he chose the 12 tribes. He chose Yasharal. He ain't dealt so with no people. He chose the 12 tribes. It's his treasured possession. We are his treasured possession. Do you understand? When you circumcising the foreskin of your flesh on it, and you are part of Abraham's covenant, and you keep this Pasach, you are his treasured possession on earth. It's like you're his children. Like we're his children. That's like a father at home, a mother in the home. Like that's my children. Like that's treasure. That's your treasuries. Think about that. Wrap your mind around that. Out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth, that's on the whole panim. When you talking about under the earth, though, notice that. He's talking about on top of the earth, right? There's beings under the earth and in the Rakia too. And that's what you're going to have to understand too. Well, we're not getting into that. You're going to have to understand that. But on the surface of the earth, you are Yahuwah's treasured possession. Right? There's a reason why he told Yahushua when he came through the Rakia, don't be like the beings in the Rakia and under the earth, right? The shield. There's a reason why he said that. You know why he said that? Because the treasured possessions are on the face of the earth, the panim. And I can see him. And I want you to be, because he was that treasured possession. Verse 7. It was not because you were more in number than any other people, that Yahuwah your Elohim set his love on you and chose you. For you are the fewest of all peoples. How many pigs? 12. Each for the 12 tribes of Yasharal. You were the few. But it is because Yahuwah loves you and keeps his oath that he swore to your father. What was the oath he swore to Abraham? Circumcision. He said, I'm going to multiply your seed, right? But he did give him circumcision too. That what? Yahuwah has brought you out with a mighty yard and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Mizraim, from Ham's family. That Ham, boy, you have no idea. Ham was, well, people have no idea. That person, that lineage. Know therefore that Yahuwah your Elohim is Elohim, and faithful Elohim, who keeps covenant and steadfast love to those who love him and keep his commandments for 1,000 generations. So what? You think Abraham's covenant gone? Man, it ain't going nowhere. It's still here. And repays those to the face of those who hate him by destroying them. What do you think the destroyer, when Mizraim came, he said, everybody got to be circumcised. You have a lamb. And you know when you come out, you know the destroyer come and destroy. He won't destroy you. He's going to pass over you. Pasach. This is protection. And he will not be slack with the one who hates him. He said. That's why Shaul said, you might want to think about what you're getting ready to do. I know y'all say, man, I'm going to do it. He said, you might want to reflect on that. Go in. Before you start to say, I'm going to be circumcised, and Mashiach going to profit you nothing now if you transgress that Torah. Because remember, he only died once and for all, right? You get what I'm saying? He said, if you get circumcised, Mashiach going to profit you nothing. Because as soon as you transgress the Torah, that sacrifice that Yahusha did, he did for you, but expect judgment. That's what he was trying to save him from. People don't understand that either. They be thinking like, he said, if you get circumcised, it ain't going to profit you nothing. Mashiach ain't going to profit you nothing. No. He ain't his sacrifice that he did to cleanse your sins and all the world. If you transgress the Torah, you're going to get punished just like it is according to Torah. And things are going to start dying. You're going to start losing stuff. You ain't going to have nothing, right? You're going to still be able to be saved, but you ain't going to, this is going to be it's going to be hard life. It's going to be a hard not life. You know, it's a hard not life for us. It's a hard not. You're going to get beat down. You're going to get beat down. It's going to get hard for you. That's why you don't want to do it. That's why he's trying to get you to understand. That's why you got to explain that even more. You got to explain that even more. People, and repays those to their face and those who hate him by destroying them. He will not be slack with the one who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Panim. Now you see why he like, you my treasured possessions on the face of the earth. Because you know what happens on the earth? Yahuwah looking right at him. It's his footstool. Because you know you're supposed to be at his feet. That's what the feminine earth is supposed to be at. The feminine nature has to be at his feet. Why do you think Martha was at his feet? Why do you think the woman was at his feet? Why do you think the moon is at? He said, I saw a sun with 12 stars and the moon was on his feet. Why do you think the moon, the yard, was at his feet? Because it's a lesser light. The earth, Achad, is a lesser being. The feminine earth, mother earth, like they say, that produces from the earth, like a female. You shall not therefore be careful. You shall be therefore careful to keep the commandments and the statutes and the rules. Let me move out of here. And it says, careful to do the commandments and statutes and rules that I command you today. Right? You gotta be careful. Matthew 22, 1-14. And again, Yahushua spoke this parable, saying, the kingdom of Shamayim may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his sons, and sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast. But they will not come. Of course they ain't gonna come. He said, come, please come. Why won't they come? I'm not coming. No, I'm not going to tell you I ain't coming. And again, he sent other servants saying, tell those who are invited, see, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, my calves, I have slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast. But they paid no attention. He said, I'm providing all the food, water, right? All the condiments, everything gonna be there. But they paid no attention. And what they said to Yirmiyahu? He said, man, I don't care what you say. I ain't paying no attention to the words that you said. You know what they said to Yirmiyahu too? That's the same thing they said to Yirmiyahu. When everybody was going after their own unjust gain. You know what they were doing? They paid no attention because they were focused on their unjust gain. He said, but they paid no attention and went off, one to his farm, unjust gain, to his business, unjust gain, while the rest seized his servants, unjust gain, and treated them shamefully, mistreatment of the Torah, keeping back the wages, charging interest, and killed them, like Esau, like Asud, killer. The king was angry, and he sent his troops, and destroyed those murderers and burned the city. That's why Shaul said, if you get circumcised, Mashiach profit you nothing if you transgress this thing. Now you see why he said that. Mashiach profit you nothing. Circumcision, he gonna profit you nothing. You better reflect on this. He just did what? Then he said, because once you get circumcised, you are supposed to keep Pasach. Why are you not keeping Pasach? Why are you not observing it? You don't want to do that. Because you're going to get cut off. That's why Shaul was trying to get the people to understand that. Go therefore to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find. And those servants went out to the roads and gathered all whom they found, both bad and good. So the wedding feast hall was filled with guests. So he needed Satan. He needed Satan there, and he needed good people. He said, I need evil here too. I can't just have all good, because I need people to get tested. I need Shaitan to do some stupid stuff. I need some people to get killed. I need some people to commit some adultery. I need some people to commit fornication. This is why he tells Shaul, or Timothy wrote, avoid such people. You say, why he said that? Because he needs those people around that you can avoid. What's the point of having all good and no evil to avoid? You ain't going to learn anything how to discern between good and evil. You're not going to be able to do it. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to look at the guests, he saw that there a man who had no wedding garment. And he said to him, friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment? Because you know what happens when you go to a wedding, if people ever went one. Well, of course, this is in the Greek translation, because you go back in the Torah, some people had wedding feasts for 7 days, and some people just got married. They just sent the servant and grabbed them and brought them back to the tent. Right? Everybody didn't get married the same way. The same way people don't get married today. I can't afford no wedding, right? I can't afford this. And some people get married. Everybody get married like this. No, everybody didn't get married like the same way you see in the Torah, right? Some people didn't get married like that. See, that's another thing that people don't want to talk about, right? Look at my beautiful wedding with the drone flying over, with all the money they spend and all that junk. And then the other person be like, all that pressure, man, I got to do that too. No, everybody didn't do that. See, that's a problem. That's the other problem, right? Pressure. That's called, next thing you be self-indulgent, overspending. Right? Then that's another no-no, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, all this is a part of it. But I don't even know why I was on there, but I got it out of here. But it says, and he said to them, friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment? And he was speechless, right? That's all he needed, just be quiet. Don't even say nothing. Then the king said to the attendants, bind him hand and foot and cast him in outer darkness. Now you see why. You know why? Because he didn't do what he said. Because he didn't do what he said. Because he's separating light from darkness. We just read that in Bereshit chapter 1, verse 14. He separated light from darkness. And in that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many will be called and few will be chosen. That's why he said, I've chosen you a few. He said he prayed all night. That's what they think. This is not much watching. What do you think he's doing right now? When Yahushua was praying all night during this night, what do you think he was doing? He was figuring out who he gonna choose. He was figuring out who he's gonna pick when the sun rises. This is Yuchanan chapter 14, 12 through 21. And on the first day of unleavened bread, when they sacrificed the Pasach lamb, he said, I thought unleavened bread started on the 15th day. He said, we just read 14th day in between suns. Because Qahalath is unleavened Pasach. But if you don't understand, it leads into Pasach. It's really 8 days. And amazingly, how many days did the priests cleanse themselves? When was circumcision? 8 days. 8th day. And people say, oh, that doesn't matter. Yes, it does. And when they sacrificed the Pasach lamb, his disciples said to him, where will you have us to go? Why? Why would he say that? Because it's the 13th day and the evening's coming. And they're like, where are we going to do Pasach at? That's where we're at right now. And guess what? We're on the 14th day right now. And prepare for you to eat the Pasach. And he sent 2 of his disciples and said to him, go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him. See, when you follow Yahushua, he's going to send you on some. Boy, I promise you, it's not going to be the same. Like, Yahushua might show up here tonight. Right? People say, what do you mean? You don't know. You don't know. No man know the day, no hour, right? So you got to always be prepared. So he might come tonight. So I better have some food and some things, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. Amazingly, Yahushua just kicked some random person in some city somewhere that you don't even know. He just say, a man carrying a jar and water will meet you. Follow him. And wherein he enters, say to the master of the house. The teacher says, where is my guest room, where I may eat Pasach with my disciples? See, you don't know. Now you see while Abraham was waiting at the tent though, like, man. He saw 3 men coming, boom, hit the ground. Right, ready to serve, right? You don't know. And he will show you a large upper room furnished and ready. So that means you gotta always stay ready, man. That's why I say you gotta be on time. Because Yahushua is on time right now. They are prepared for us. And the disciples set out and went to the city and found it just as he had told them. And they prepared the Pasach. And when it was evening, so that means that's how you know it was in the 14th day at evening. This is how you know it wasn't the 14th. It was during the 13th day. Going towards the 14th day. That's how you know. He came with the 12, and as they were reclining at the table eating, Yahushua said, truly I say to you, one who will betray me, who is eating with me. They began to be sorrowful and say unto him, one after another, is it I? He said to them, it is one of the 12. You know, the ones he prayed about all night to Yahuwah, and he picked 12 when the sun rose. And he said to them, it is one of the 12, one who is dipping bread in my dish with me. For the son of Adam came as it is written of him. But woe to him, to that man by whom the son of Adam is betrayed. It would be better that that man had not been born again. You know what I say? It'd be better that that person had been born again. Because except the man be born again, he was not see the Malkuth. Why? That's why Shaul said, if you get circumcised, Mashiach profit you nothing if you betray him. Okay, he gonna be like, man, it'd be worse that you ain't even born again. Matter of fact, it'd be better that you never know him. Because if you do it, he said, man, it'd be the worst thing you ever did in your life. And people say, why he say that? Because it's important. Notice how Yahushua should be pardoning all these other sins, right? He even forgave a woman for adultery and everything else. But when you start doing stuff like that, but Yahushua don't be liking that. He would say, no, 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 no. But he don't like that stuff. When you start conspiring to try to take him out, you trying to kill me, ain't you? He don't like that stuff. People be thinking it's a joke. So you finna hand me over to be murdered. Uh-oh. You don't want to do that. You do not want to be that person. This Luke 22, 7 through 13. It says, Then came the day of unleavened bread, which the Pasach lamb had to be sacrificed. So Yahushua sent the car. And Yuchanan saying, Go and prepare the Pasach for us that we may eat. Right, it's a different page. And they said to him, Where will you have us prepared? And he said to them, Behold, when you have entered the city, a man carrying water will meet you. Follow him into the house that he enters and tell the master of the house, the teacher says to you, Where is the guest room where I may eat the Pasach? He just follow him in the house. So man, you can't do that today. Go follow somebody in the house in the right state or place in the country. They're going to pull a 12-gauge shotgun on you. Right? Full go Glock P4 Storm, 16 shots. Right? You done. Right? You can't do that today. When he says, and he will show you a large upper room prepared there. Why? Because if Yahuwah just tells you, he ain't going to do it. But most people will be afraid. And they went and found it just as he had told them and to prepare the Pasach. And when just like he told them, just like Shemuel, it came to pass, just like you said. Man, it came to pass, Deborah, just like you said. It came to pass, just like you said. And when the hour came, he reclined at the table and the Shalakim with him. And he said to them, I have earnestly desired to eat this Pasach with you before I suffer. This is why the Pasach, this night is so important. It's a remembrance of his death and suffering. For I tell you, I will not eat of it until it fulfill in the kingdom of Yahuwah. And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he said, Take this and divide it among yourselves, for I tell you that from now on I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of Yahuwah comes. And he took the bread, the cum, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, This is my body which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Do it. So you can remember. Because you don't want to forget. Especially if you've been born again. If you forget, you've been born again, you're going to be like Judas. You're going to be a traitor. If you forget. You'll be like, man, you forgot what Yahushua did? And likewise the cup, after they had eaten, saying, This cup is poured out to you in the new covenant of my blood. Behold, the hand of him who betrays me, And likewise the cup, after they had eaten, saying, This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. Behold, the hand of him who betrays me is with me on the table. For the son of Adam goes as it has been determined, but woe to the man by whom he is betrayed. And they began to question with one another, which one of them that it could be who is going to do this. You see how all this is transpiring? Everybody wants you to be the Judas, right? You notice that, right? He said everybody want somebody to be the Judas for them. But in actuality, if you transgressed the bar, you slept with a betrothal, you swindled your brother and your sister, you for some money, right? You did some evil stuff to somebody, you already did it. You already betrayed them. You lied on somebody, you slandered somebody, you said something, you already betrayed them already. All the things that you do evil, they did to him. And guess what? Falsely accused, you've already betrayed him. That's how you know Yahuwah's Khan is on your life. And none of us should be here. Because you should be worthy of death. Right? This is Truth of the Nazarenes, Gospel of the Nazarenes 75. We're going to flow through this 4 through 18. We're not going to read all of it. But it says, Then Judas, the newest member, who had not yet been fully initiated into the mysteries, asked, "Where will you have us prepare the Pasach?" And Yahushua answered, "Would I desire at this Pasach to eat flesh with you before I institute a memorial of oblation for the service of salvation for all?" For behold, the hour approaches when the son of Adam shall be betrayed into the hands of traitors. You know, the traitors. You know, those Kohanim, those priests, the chief priests, the elders. Traitors. Judas, traitor. And one of the 12 said to him, "Yahushua, is it I? Am I a traitor?" He said, "He whom has given sop, the same is he." And the Iscariot said to him, "Yahushua, behold, the unleavened bread, mingled with wine, and the oil, and the herbs. Where is the lamb Mashah commanded?" You know how it is. The sop. Because you know it equals to 8, right? For Judas had brought the lamb, but Yahushua had forbidden that it should be killed. Why did Yahushua forbid the lamb to be killed? Because he didn't have time to do that. Matter of fact, Judas was already going to betray him at a specific time. You think about that. Yeah. And you start thinking about that. And you should like, am I going to eat flesh with you? But then you start to think about that. And Yochanan spoke in the Ruach, saying, "Behold the lamb of the good shepherd, who gives his life for the sheep." And Judas was troubled at these words. Why? Because he spoke by the Ruach. He's like, "Man, so what? Yochanan, you with him too?" Oh man, the Jew is like, "Man, these people transgressing. They transgress what Mashah said." You know how it is. But all these men are circumcised. Yahushua circumcised. Yochanan circumcised. All his 12 are circumcised. They all are circumcised. But then the lamb, he's like, "Hold up, so you ain't gonna have no lamb?" But they all circumcised though. But guess what? It says, "For he knew that he should betray him." But Judas said to Yahushua, "Is it not written in the law, the Torah, that a lamb must be slain for the Pasach within the gates?" Yeah, it is written. You not like, man. Judas is like, "Man, you hypocrite, you false teacher." That's what he's like. That's what he's saying. But what's the point? This is Tahalim, Psalms 50, 9 through 15. "I will not accept a bull from your house or goats from your foes." And he said, "You take it from the sheep and the goat." Didn't what he said? A 1-year-old. Didn't he say that? "For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle I only count on 1,000 hills." And he said, "Man, you better remember the Bereshit chapter 1. You better remember who owned this stuff. I know all the birds of the hills and all that moves in the field is mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you." He said, "I wouldn't tell you. For the world in its fullness are mine." He's like, in its fullness are mine. "Do I eat flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Do I eat sin offerings?" Huh? Do I eat flesh? Do I eat sin offerings? Judas, you've been with me all this time. Do I eat sin offerings? Do I eat sin? Have I committed sin this whole time you've been here? So why would I need a lamb to kill for some sin? Think about it. That's the only time you need a lamb. You need an animal. You got to slay an animal because you commit sin. So how many animals do you think Yahushua killed when he was here for sin? How many animals did he kill for sin? None. 0. He killed no animals for sin. He killed none of them because he had no sin. Neither was deceit found in his mouth. He had no reason to kill no turtle dove, no lamb, no goat, no bull. He had no reason to. He had no sin. So why would he go around killing animals and eating and doing the things that you do? He had no reason to. He's like, "Should I eat flesh? Do it? I don't commit sin. Do you? What type of person you think I am?" Now you see Yahushua was offended. "So you saying I commit sin?" Judas. You've been with me all this time. You think, have I committed sin since you've been with me? Offer to Yahuwah a sacrifice of thanksgiving and perform your vows to the Most High, and call upon me in a day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you shall kabod me. But you can't call him in a day of trouble when your prayers are hindered. He say, do I do that? So this is Truth of Nazarene, Gospel of Nazarene 75, 8 through 18. And Yahushua answered, you have walked with me even this short time, and yet you ask me this? If I am lifted up on the totality of the cross, then indeed shall the Lamb be slain, but woe to him by whom it is delivered in the hand of the slayer. It were better for him to not be born. He said, I'm the Lamb, without spot or wrinkle and blemish, that y'all get ready to kill. But then you don't know, I ain't never commit no sin to offer no animal. Ever. Never, 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 never. So anybody who say Yahushua offered an animal for some sin, you a liar. He never did. Verse 9. Verily I say unto you, for this end have I came into the world, that I may put away all blood offerings and eating flesh of beasts and birds that are slain by men. Because because there ain't no more sin. In the beginning, the Creator gave all fruits of the trees and the seeds and the herbs for food. But those who love themselves more than Yahuwah, or their fellow, corrupted their ways and brought diseases in their bodies and filled the earth with lust and violence. Come on, that's why he told us to cleanse our body from the first 16 days. Why? He's trying to get all that stuff out of you so you can receive Yahushua Mashiach. Because you ain't going to be able to receive him. Remember, think about it. You rise on the third day, you ain't cleanse yourself from all that stuff, and then you going to rise on the third day, you ain't going to be able to receive Yahushua Mashiach. And the stuff he talking about, nah. If you ain't abstaining from all that stuff all up until, nah, you're not. He going to look at you, going to look at that stuff, you be like, you're going to reject him again. You're going to be like Thomas. I wonder if Thomas cleansed himself. You're going to be like that. Not by shedding innocent blood thereof, but by living a righteous life shall you find shalom. Why? Because there's peace to those who are not wicked. That's what this whole thing's about, finding peace. There's no peace to, right, things like that. This Bereshit 6, 11 through 13. Now the earth was corrupt in Yahuwah's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And Yahuwah Elohim saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. Because he still talked about the whole earth was full of lust and violence. And it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on earth. And Yahuwah said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh. That's what Yahushua just said. I'm going to put an end to eating of flesh and all flesh and beasts of the earth that are slain. He says, and Yahuwah said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, even the works of the flesh, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, mumbling, grumbling, complaining, robberies, adultery, fornication, fits of anger. He said, I'm coming to put all the end of that. False accusations, all these things that men do on a day-to-day basis, right? Men and women. And Yahuwah said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. He said, through them. Through who? Through these people. How do you think the whole earth got through violence this way? Because of Yasharal, Yehuda, the people that's supposed to be a light to the world. The whole world is full of violence because of you. Because you're supposed to be the example. But yet, he said, what people have Yahuwah so nigh? So the same Elohim who wrote this is the same Elohim who said, what people have him so nigh, so close to him as we do, and laws that we have so right. But guess what? Look at the whole earth there. Because of you. The whole earth. Now you see why Yahushua had to die. He said, why? Keep going to verse 12. The same book, Nazarene 76 and 12. It says, Walk in the way, and you shall find the Most High. Seek truth, and the truth shall make you free. Live in the life, and you shall not see death. All things are alive in the Ruach of the Creator, who fills all things. Keep the commandments. Love Yahuwah with all your heart, and love your neighbors you love yourself. Even all these things, all living things. On these hang the law and the Torah, and the sum of the Torah is this: do unto others as you will have them do unto you. Barak are they who keep the Torah, for the Creator is manifest in all creatures, and all creatures live in the Creator. After these, Yahusha dipped the sop and gave it to Judas Iscariot and said, saying, what do you do? Do it quickly, because this is not that much washing. You got to do it fast. He said, why you think Yahusha be cutting that thing short? He'd be like, okay, man, we ain't got that much time. Do it quick. That's why he like still doing. He's like, why you doing it so fast? He's like, we got to do this thing quick. And he said, having received the sop, went out immediately, and it was night. You got to do it fast. And when Judas Iscariot had gone, Yahusha said, now is the son maybe go kabod among the 12. He said, now it's going to be kabod. And Yahuwah is kabod, glorified in him. Verily I say unto you, they who receive you receive me, and they who receive me receive Yahuwah who sent me. To you who follow me in the regeneration of the elect, I will appoint a kingdom as the same has been appointed to me. And you who have been faithful of the truth shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. Why would he do it to any other people? Because remember, everybody who would join the Yasharal was a benefit. Why? Because then he was circumcised to the side. He did all the covenant. Now you're in the truth. Now you ain't gonna do all the things that other people do. Whatever tribe you dwell among, that's where your inheritance goes at. Right? All that's a part of it. And it says, and one said to him, Yahusha, will you at this time restore the Malkuth to Yasharal? And Yahusha said, my kingdom is not of this world. Neither are all Yasharal which are called Yasharal. They are those of every nation who defile not themselves with cruelty, who do righteousness, have mercy, love, reverence for all the works of the Torah, who succor to all that are weak and oppressed, the same are Yasharal. So are you Yasharal? That's the whole point. That's the whole point. This is Yuchanan 13, 1 through 20. Now before the feast of Pasach, when Yahusha knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved to the end. During supper, when Satan had already put into the heart of Judas, he already did it. He sowed the seed. To betray him, Yahusha, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from Yahuwah and was going back to Yahuwah, he rose from supper. And he laid aside his outer garments. He did what? And taking a towel and tied it around his waist. He said, he wore a towel, right? He's like, naked I came in the world, naked I'm going to leave, right? Man, Yahushua had a crazy mindset. And he would say, what are you talking about? Who gonna do that today, right? He's be like, man, what you doing? Man, he's like, naked I came into the world, naked I'm gonna leave, right? So he had to have that mindset. People had no idea. Then he poured out water in a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. So he literally got naked. He's like, naked I came in the world, and naked I'm gonna leave. He got naked, right? And started washing their feet. He's like, what you doing? Cause he was trying to show you what Abyb is, right? He's like, man, this man get ready to kill me, right? Naked I came to work. Does a lamb got clothes on when he get ready to crucify? No. Lamb ain't got no pants on. That's that new stuff, right? You know how it is. They put clothes on an animal. The animals be walking around here butt naked like Adam and Cool, right? Ain't that something? And then, you know, the animals walk around like Adam and Cool, like, man, we are original. I don't know what y'all talking about. He said, we the original. What them clothes y'all got on? So you see Yahusha walking around naked. That sounds crazy, but it is actually his mindset. That's why he said you're a laughing stock. People have no idea. And he came to Simon Cobb, who said to him, Master, do you wash my feet? He's like, man, you naked. What the heck you doing? Yahusha answered him, what am I doing? What I am doing, you do not understand now. Amazingly, we don't. We didn't. But now you understand why he was naked and why he walked. He took off his clothes and washed their feet. He's like, man, I'm like a naked animal washing your feet. I'm like the lamb of you who are washing your feet. He said, you don't understand it now, but afterwards you will understand. He said, now you gonna understand now. Kav said to him, you shall never wash my feet butt naked. He was naked, man. Why would you lie, man? He's like, man, that's time. You should answer him. If I do not wash you, you have no share with me. And Kav said to him, Adon, master, what? Not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yahusha said to him, the one who has bathed does not need to wash except his feet, but is completely clean. Right? So if you just wash your feet, you clean. The rest of your body may not be clean, but if you wash your feet, he said you clean. That's why you need to clean your feet. You say, why I need to clean them? He said, washing your feet is important. Amazingly, other cultures know this. But then you start to see why you need to wash your feet. He said, you be clean. Because a lot of things go out from the bottom of your feet. And you are clean, but not every one of you. For he knew who was to betray him. That was why he said, not all of you are clean. He said, man, your feet dirty. He said, I already know you dirty. And when he had finished their feet, he put on his outer garments and resumed his place. He put back on his clothes. He said, why you stripped yourself naked? Naked I came in the world, naked I'm going to leave. Man, I'm just like a naked lamb. That's why he did that. And people say, man, it's crazy. No, it ain't. He said, you ain't understand. Man, you remember when Yahusha washed our feet naked, man? Man, he was like, he would say, naked I came in the world, naked I'm going to leave. Man, he was like that naked lamb, right? Washing the sins of the world, or cleaning our feet. Man, he's crazy, right? He's like a little child, butt naked, right? Huh? You remember that? And you start remembering more of the Torah when you start thinking about it. And you are right. And it says, and you are right, for I am. If I then, your master and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash another's feet. We talked about this last episode. But it says, and you see how much stuff came out of that. A lot of intellect came out of that. If you know these things, Barak are you if you do them. That's the story only real if you do it. The book is only real when you do it. It has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with anything else. The more you do it, the more you understand. I am not speaking to all of you. I know whom I have chosen. He chose you. He chose you and understand it. But the scripture will be fulfilled. He's like, man, somebody gonna fulfill this thing. So either gonna be the persecutor or the persecuted. He who ate my bread has lifted up his heel against me. He said, you ate my lakam, the house of bread. And get what he said. For I am telling you now, before it takes place, that when it does take place, you may believe that I am he. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever receives the one I send receives me. And whosoever receives me, receives the one who sent me. Right? So we're in that very hour, that night. This is Matthew 26, 30 through 30. Actually, 26 and 30. It says 30 through 35. And when he had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. And when Yahusha said to them, he said to them, you will fall away because of this night. So this night is very important. He says, why you be doing it at night? He said, man, this is an all night thing. He said, you gotta get it to the point where it's just all night. He said, seriously, people be thinking like, yeah, I want to go to sleep. No. That's the way you're gonna understand it. If you get what I'm saying, like you ain't gonna understand it. But after I am raised, I will go before you to Galilee. And Kav answered him, Thou though they all fall away because of you, I will never fall away. Yahushua said to him, truly I tell you, this very night, the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. How many times did all y'all who lean on that boy when he died? With the woman, with the widow? He leaned on him 3 times. 3 times. Because he was dead. Why do you think Qahalath was here? When he denied him 3 times, he was dead. He was dead. Why do you think Yahushua had to get up on the 3rd day? Qahalath said to him, even if I must die with you, I will not deny you. And all the disciples said the same. Man, I ain't never gonna die. I ain't gonna be like that child that all y'all who had to lean over 3 times. I ain't got to be like, okay. But they ain't understand it. Right, this is Matthew 26, 36 through 36 through 46. Then Yahushua went with them to the place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, sit here while I go over there to pray. And you know Yahushua like to pray all night. Don't play with him. He like to be up all night. And taking with him Qahalath and the 2 sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and troubled. And he said to them, my soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch with me, because this is not that much watching. That's one time. And going a little further, he fell on his face and prayed, saying, my Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine will. He's like, man, I don't want to drink this thing. He said, it's the real Pasach. I don't know what that Pasach y'all took. Yeah, that ain't no suffering. I can eat some bread, some herbs and stuff y'all took. He said, Yahushua, I don't want to drink this cup. This the cup that really mattered. The one we took, it's just remembering him. He got to drink the real cup. We ain't drink this cup. Some people haven't. I don't think nobody has. Right? To go to this point where you have to get to this point. But that's the cup he had to drink. He had to drink all of it too. And he came to his disciples and found them. He said, if it were possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine will. Right? He drank the rest of it. He ate the Pasach. Remember, he said he wasn't going to drink of the wine. It didn't say, right? And he came to his disciples and found them sleeping. He like, man, y'all going to sleep? And he said to Qahalath, so could you watch for me 1 hour? Because he was already full. Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. And the Ruach indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And again, the second time, that's 2, he went and prayed, my Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink, your will be done. And again, he came and found them asleep. The 3rd time, number 3. For their eyes were heavy. How many times did all y'all who lean on the child? 3 times. 3 times. So, leaving them again, he went away and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words again. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, sleep and take your rest later on. He's like, go ahead, take your rest later on. You know what I mean? Go to sleep. Take your rest later on. The hour is at hand. I told you it's an hour, right? It ain't that long. It's a time sequence. And man, it ain't that long, right? You ain't got that much time. Right? Time running out. Yeah. And the son of Adam is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise and let us be going and see my betrayer is at hand. Because these are all a part of it. Right, so this is Yuchanan 18, 1 through 14. And Yahushua had spoken these words. He went out to his disciples across the brook Kidron, where he entered a garden. Now Judas, his betrayer, also knew the place. I told you they know. Let me just read that. In Esther, they knew they wrote it all out, where everybody at. Right? Everybody know about it. Because Yahushua had often met there with his disciples. So Judas brought a band of soldiers and officers and chief priests and the Pharisees. And they arrived at the Gan carrying lances and torches and weapons. Right? Once they found out where you at. Yahushua knowing all that was coming upon him. So while he said, I meet here all the time with my disciples. So I'm just going to go back there anyway. Because I already know they come to get me. So I'm just going to be there when they come get me. And he said forward and asked them, whom are you seeking? Yahushua of Nazareth? And they answered, Yahushua said, I am he. And Judas, his betrayer, was standing there with them. And when Yahushua said, I am he drew back and fell to the ground. Boom, hit the ground. He hit the ground. Isn't that, who did that? Who was the person who hit the ground? When Yahuwah spoke to him? We just read it. He hit the ground. Mashah hit the ground when Yahuwah spoke to him. Abraham hit the ground when Yahuwah spoke to him. He's like, Yahushua said, I am he. He hit the ground too. Everybody hitting the ground. And so he asking them again, who are you seeking? Yahushua of Nazareth. They answered, I told you I am he. Yahushua replied, so if you are looking for me, let these men go. He said, let these other people go. This was to fulfill the word, I have lost none of those you've given me. And Simon Cowell drew his sword and struck the servant of the high Kahan, cutting off his right ear. And the servant named Malchus. And he put his sword, he said, put your sword back in your sheath, Yahushua. Put your sword back in your sheath. Yahushua said to Cobb, shall I not drink of the cup my father has given me? See, now you see why. He nevertheless, not my will, but thine will. The cup that he was drinking was the things that he was drinking, all the wrong that other people were doing to him. That was the actual cup that he was drinking. Drinking what? The evil that other people do to you. He said that's the drink that Yahuwah gives you. You're gonna get the full-fledged gold like Mashah did in the wilderness with Korah. Right? You're gonna get everything and anything you possibly could think of from people. That's what the cup of Yahuwah is. That's really the true cup of Pasach. That's how you remember his death and suffering really when he comes. When you get done wrong by other people, by family, friends, people, acquaintances, right? When you start to experience these things, now you're drinking the cup that Yahushua drank. This is just, we get a physical cup of drinking the flesh and blood. But until you endure something like that, you haven't not really experienced drinking the cup that Yahushua drank. If you get, man, I had a little sip of it, man, that thing was rough. Yahushua drank the whole thing. You get a little sip, man, he drinking that again. It's like, man, I don't want that. And that thing, I ain't getting no rest, no peace, no shalom, right? It was just crazy, right? But that's the whole point. How much are you willing to drink? Because everybody not willing to drink the whole thing. That's why Hazon, Revelation, talk about a cup without mixture, right? People don't understand, you ain't ready to drink all 7 vials and 7 bowls and 7 teruahs. You ain't ready to drink that. Don't even think about them bowls, right? Think about it. That's a whole nother thing, right? So shall I drink of the cup my father has given me. Then the band of soldiers with its commanders and officers and the Yahudim arrested Yahushua and bound him. They brought him to first Ananias, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high Kahan, that year. And Caiaphas was the one who advised the Yahudim that it would be better that one man should die. One man died for the people. He's like, man, it's better that one person die. But they always looking for one person to put all their sin on. They always looking for somebody to put their sin on. Them Kahan, them priests, everybody always looking for somebody to put their sin on. And then you know what happens when they put their sin on you? Then they be like, yeah, you don't want, that's the cup of Yahushua right there. When people put all their sin on you. That's the cup of Yahuwah. When people put all their sin on you, when it was all them and they sinned. That's when you drink the full cup. Showing up at a feed, looking all good, man, look at me. Right? Everybody got white on, right? But he's like, man, look at me strutting in, right? Drinking your cup, got your thing, right? You think you everything great. He's like, man, that ain't, you ain't drink the cup. The real one. I'm talking about the one that I had to endure. You get to look good, feel good, everybody look at you and call you what you are. But he had to drink that real cup. And none of us, you start to think about it, how many times we should have drunk that cup. He said, man, I should give you that thing full mixture this time. Be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Here's a con on your life. Okay? So you got, your 12 cranial nerves. That's why he chose 12, right? He chose 12, but I found this important, right? We almost finished. Each has a specific function, and healthcare providers categorize cranial nerves based on the number of functions. Olfactory nerve, right? These are all the 12 cranial nerves. Providing a sense of smell, right? You need that. You need to smell. Man, that smells like it's spoiled, man. You need to understand how you gonna smell your food. You ever smell some food, you be like, man, this thing I ain't eating that. I don't care if you cooked it, right? Optic nerve, providing vision, right? This is not as much watching. We need that. We need the optic nerve functioning, right? Amazingly, what did Yahushua do? He said, take, this is my body broken for you. And he gave it to how many people? To 12 disciples. Think about your 12 cranial nerves and Yahushua giving you the lakam, the bread in his wine, well, in his blood, and you drinking it. It awakens, it's supposed to awaken your mind. It should be no such thing as Alzheimer's disease. That's why Le'at Nus was, Mashah's countenance was not abated. It should be no such thing as ALS. You got to bar Yahuwah. What are you talking about? Yahuwah looking at you like, what? You ain't got enough to bar on the inside. Your 12 cranial nerves are not activated. Your strength failing you. You need something to bar. That's why Shaul said, I rather kabod in my weaknesses rather than my strengths. It says ocular motor nerve, opening and moving your eyes and adjusting your pupils with, right? That's like Watchmen, Safa, right? You gotta lean in, lean out, you gotta focus. Like, man, that look like a bear, that look like a lion, man. That look like another man going into another woman's house that she married. Man, that look like another man going over here with another man, right? That look like, oh boy, ooh. Oh yeah, something really need to happen to him. He trying to, man, we need to jump off the wall. Go take this dude out from going to try to be with a child, right? Something crazy. Like, seriously, like, you gotta be watching. People be thinking like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and not say nothing, and ha ha ha. Your optic nerves are dead. What happened to your mind? So it means ocular motor, opening and moving your eyes and adjusting your pupil. Tracheal nerve, looking down and moving your eyes toward your nose or away from it. See, now you see why it's not of much watching. Much observed. Because you need your iron. And you got to see it. You have to see it. Trigeminal nerve. It says sensation in your eyes. Most for the face and inside your mouth. It also allows you to chew food. So what's bitter herbs, lakam, wine, the blood, the grapes, right? You gotta drink that, right? You need to chew food. You need to be able to see. It's not that much watching. Abducing nerve. Moving your eyes from left to right. You see, man, I need to be able to see. See, now you see why it was so important when that man said, man, I once was blind, but now I see. People say, why he said that? Now I can keep it sight. It's not as much watching. I once was blind, but now I can see. Facial nerve. Facial muscles. Facial nerve. It says facial muscles to make facial expressions and providing sense of taste in part of the tongue. Right? Vestibular nerve, providing sense of hearing and balance. Glossopharyngeal nerve, right? These are all their terms, but at the same time, interesting. Providing a taste sensation in part of the tongue, controlling muscles of swallowing. It also has a parasphenic nerve fibers that play a role in blood pressure regulation and saliva spit production. Right? Vagus nerve regulates several automatic bodily processes, including your digestion, blood pressure, heart rate, breathing, and mood. And it says accessory nerve or spinal accessory nerve, controlling shoulder and neck movement. You stiff neck people, right? You can say, what does they got to do with anything? These are all a part of your body. This is the last one. Hypoglossal nerve, controlling tongue movement. That's why he talked about our blessed abundum between your cheeks, what you say out of your mouth, which plays a role in speaking, eating, and swallowing. These are all a part of your 12 cranial nerves. Notice that all these things are a part of you. And if when they're off, and you know, it said eat my food, you got to give it all 12. You got to let all 12 of them get the lakam, the bread, so it can activate your mind, your consciousness. So you can participate in the night of much watching. Or you're going to go to sleep. Right? He says, awake thou that sleepest and arise from the dead, and Mashiach will shine on you. This is Bereshit 28, 10-7. Yaakov left Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he came to a certain place and stayed there that night. This is not a much watching. This is much not, you must remember. Because the sun had set. Didn't the sun just set? Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down to a place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up to Shamayim on the earth, and the top reached to Shamayim. And behold, the Malakim of Yahuwah were ascending and descending on it. And behold, Yahuwah stood above it, and he said, I am Yahuwah, the Elohim of your father, Abraham, and the Elohim of Yitzhak. You know, that circumcised family. And the land on which you lie, I will give to you and to your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west, to the east, to the north, and the south, all four corners. And in you and your offspring shall the families of the Achad be Barak. How? Because you keeping your covenant, you're still getting circumcised, you're still doing the Pasach, you're still doing all these things, and then eventually people are going to see you. Or hear of you, and all these things that you do. And then they're going to be like, what people can do that? Behold, I am with you, right? Going to verse 15. And I will keep you wherever you go. And I will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised. Uh-oh. Isn't there a promise for us too? You going to restore the Malkut at this time? Not right now. But it's a promise though. Then Yaakov awoke, from his sleep. And he said, what happened when he woke? That means his 12 cranial nerves kicked back on. How many sons did he have? How many sons did he have? 12 sons. How many disciples did Yahushua pick? 12. He woke from his sleep. Surely Yahuwah is in this place. I did not know it. He said, Kaf, you don't remember how I wash your feet. You may not understand what I'm doing now, but you're going to laugh when you figure it out. When you go to that Torah, you're going to figure out when I took out that towel and washed your feet naked, you're going to be like, you're going to start laughing. Matter of fact, you're going to be like, all right, I'm glad to see your day, right? Because he was laughing too. And his mother. And he's like, why are you laughing? Because that stuff is funny. Once you figure it out, you're like, man, why he was naked? He's like, that's crazy. It's absolutely insane, right? And he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of Elohim. And this is the gate of Shamayim. Now you see why. So that word for awoke is kuatz. Kuatz. It means to awaken, to become active. He's like, man, now I'm active, boy. Because now when your consciousness comes in, he said to be awake. He said, I'm active now. He said, what happened, right? So this Bereshit 9:22, 20 through 27. It says, Nuach began to be a man of the soil, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank wine and became drunk, and was uncovered in his tent. Now you see, what Yahushua doing? What you naked for? And then when Yahushua was naked, he took off his towel, and he started washing their feet. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told it to his brothers outside. He said, Ham saw him. What land he brought us out of? From the land of Mizraim, the son of Ham. And guess what he did? And then Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it on both their shoulders and walked backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. What did Yahushua do? He took that thing off and washed their feet. He's like, man, what you doing that for, man? This is absolutely insane. their faces were turned backwards, and they did not see their father's naked. He's like, man, Yahushua, you're not washing my feet. You know what he said? You're not washing my feet like that. And when Nuach, your thoughts, right? That's the same word we just read. Nuach became active in his mind. Nefats from his wine, he knew what his youngest son had done to him. And then Yahushua knew what Judas was going to do. He said, I already know what Judas is getting ready to do. He already knew what Judas was going to do. I know, because he was a traitor. He washed the traitor's feet. He already knew. He woke from the wine. He like, I know what that Judas, that Ham, because Judas was trying to keep them in Mizraim, because Yahushua was the one that's going to take us out of Mizraim, right? But not even knowing, by him fulfilling the Torah, he was going to bring us out of Mizraim. But he had to do what he did. And he said, cursed be Canaan. That's what happened to Judas. Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be to his brothers. He said, you're gonna be a servant. And he also said, Barak be Yahuwah, the Elohim of Shem, and let Canaan be your servant. He said, man, let Mizraim, Ham, and Osiris and Isis, let them people be your servant. Matter of fact, Tahudi, all these beings, right? Hathor, he said, yeah, let them be your servants. They ain't like that. But he said, let them be your servants. That's literally what he said. Nimrud, Babylon, Sumer, ancient Sumer, right? All that stuff. Anunnaki. That's literally what he said. He said, let them be your servants. Yeah. And let Canaan be his servant. And may Elohim enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell in tents of Shem. He said, that's why he said, all the strangers that join to you, all the strangers, he said, you must be circumcised. He said, you got to be circumcised. What you doing? And let Canaan be his servant. He said, so I'm going to demote Ham all the way down underneath Japheth. So Ham has only one mission. He want to be back over Japheth and Shem. Okay, he put him all the way back down. Think about that. You got demoted 3 times. Amazing, that's 3 sons. How many times did Yahoo lean over that child? How many times? Right? That word for curse is arar. It means to curse. It says lay under a curse. To put on, right? To put a curse on. Because it's cursed for you to be made low. But it's not really though. Because to be made lower. He said, humble yourselves in the mighty hand of Yahuwah. And he'll exalt you in due time. At the appointed time. Matter of fact, if you get circumcised, this is an appointment too. It means to execrate. It means what? Bitterly curse. Now you see why Yahushua drunk the wine. He drunk it for Mr. Canaan. Oh, you mean Ham's lineage? That's why he drunk the wine. Why do you think he drunk bitter wine? He knew all that was finished. We can say that though. This is Psalms 78, 56 through 17. Yet they tested and rebelled against the Most High Yahuwah and did not keep his testimony. Skipping down to verse 62. And he gave his people over to the sword and vented his wrath on his heritage. Fire devoured their young men, and their young women had no marriage songs. He's like, man, y'all not even singing no more. The priests fell by the sword. That sounds like today. And the widows made no lamentation. Then Yahuwah Yahats, as from sleep. He became active. Right? When you become active, bro, you don't want no man to become active. When the male becomes active, and he wake from his sleep, waked out of sleep is in the rise from the dead, and Mashiach shine on you. Matter of fact, you bear 12 manners of fruit. You mean your 12 cranial nerves? Like a strong man shouting because of wine. You know what New York did? So you think you was like, cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants you will be. Hallelujah. Cursed be Canaan. Right? He was raising his voice, right? So people been thinking of man, when he become active, just know he Achad. When he starts getting loud, just know, man, he done can't active now. He's like, man, he done raised his voice. And he put his adversaries to rout and put them to everlasting shame. That's how he did it. He made them go below the Japheth. He said, man, I rank my sons now. Man, you at the lowest. Man, you ain't no trustee. Man, you'll never be the trustee. Right? That's literally what he just did. And you think he don't want that trust? You think he don't want to be the head back? You think he don't want it back? Oh yeah, he want it back. Just like Asu want it back. Asu want that thing back. Everybody want it back. They want it from Shem and they want it from the 12 tribes. Why do you think they want it back? They want the priesthood back. But he chose the tribe of Yehuda and Mount Sion, which he loves. So he always gonna love. He loves us. He built his sanctuary like the high Shemaims, like the earth, which he found forever. He chose Dawid, his servant, and took him from the sheepfolds, from following the nursing ewes. He's like, man, the nursing ewes, you know, the lambs. Why do you think he said, behold the Lamb of Yahuwah who take away the sin of the world? That's what he was talking about. Everybody had to take a lamb. He was that lamb. And he brought him to shepherd Yaakov, his people, Yasharal, his inheritance. That's what he's here for. That's why he had 12 disciples. With upright heart, he shepherded them and guided them with his skillful hand, his kaf. His kaf. It means power. It means handful. It means powerful handful. Right? This Judges chapter 5, 10 through 15. Tell of it, you who ride on white donkeys. Right? You know what donkeys are at the times. Right? It is a car. Who sit on rich carpets, and you who walk by the way. You know what you're supposed to do? Sit in the house, walk by the way when you lie on the rides up. To the sound of the musicians and the watering places. There they repeat the righteous triumphs of Yahuwah, the righteous triumphs of the villagers in Yasharal. Then down to the gates march the people of Yahuwah. They march. It says, awake, awake, Deborah, right? You got to stay awake tonight. Awake, awake, break out into song. Break out into a marriage song. This is the marriage. What he said, the marriage feast? Break out in the marriage song. He said, there wasn't no more marriage songs. He said, why you be singing the marriage song? You have no idea, right? I told you there's a lesser light to rule by night. Because it's called a marriage song. Because the lesser light rule by night. Arise, Barak, and lead away your captives, O son of Abinom. So he telling the woman, awake, become active. Let's see. Then down marched the remnant of the nobles and the people of Yahuwah marched down for me against the mighty. From Apharim, their route, they marched down into the valley, following you, Benjamin. I told you something. Why didn't everybody follow Shaul? He said in Romans 11, he was from the tribe of what? With your kinsmen from Makir marched down the commanders, and from Zabulun those who bear the lieutenant status. This is all to Yasharal and Yehuda. And the princes of Issachar came with Deborah. This is all from the tribe of you. I'm telling you, from the 12 tribes. And Issachar faithful to Barak, you who ride on white donkeys. They understand the times. You know, Issachar understand the times and what Yasharal ought to do. You need to understand the times too. Because it's one of your 12 cranial nerves. Oh. That's one of your 12 cranial nerves. And now you see why you need to be, man, you need Issachar. I told you. into the valley, they rushed at his heels among the clans of Reuben. Man, you need to be a son, because until his son is given. That's what son, Reuben means. That was the first son to live. She said, man, Yahuwah gave me a son. Because she said, I would hate it too. That's why Yahuwah said, I would hate it without a cause. He said, that's the worst thing you want to do, to hate somebody in the truth, right? Yahuwah going to reward them. Right? That's what happens. Verse 10, so that word for donkeys is a thong. That word for donkey is a thong. It means what? Sense of patience. What is that? That's a fruit of the Ruach. If that's a fruit of the Ruach, so what is that? Feminine nature. Femininity. The Shamash rule by day and the Yard to rule by night. And it's a what? Full moon. Matter of fact, we just hit it. It says she donkey. It's a female donkey. Patience. That's a fruit of the Ruach. It's a feminine tree. It's a feminine tree. He said, man, it's a feminine night. He like, yeah, it's a masculine yard, but a feminine has to be there, though. A feminine has to be there, though. This is all a part of it. People think this is male and female is a Karnakabah. So that word for awake is awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake. Awake, break out into song. That word for awake is or. It starts with an ayin, not an aleph. Because in the beginning it starts with an aleph. This one starts with an ayin because you got to be able to see. It means to rouse oneself, to awake in sight. Who shall rouse him up? That means wake up. The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda. Because he chose Yehuda. To rouse oneself, to stir up, to be excited, triumphant, right? That's a triumphant. He say awake, to rouse, to stir up. Wake up, opening your eye, opening the eyes to wake. Get up, become active. Right, this is Yeshayahu 52, 1 through 8. Awake, awake, or, put on strength. O Saon. That's what that is. The same word, see. Amazing they say, oh, see, Deborah. See, Deborah. Open your iron. Watch. Experience and see. Deborah. Put on strength, O Son, and put on your beautiful garments. And then what Yahushua did, he had them on, and he took them off. He took the thing off, put on the towel. He's like, man, you crazy. O Jerusalem, Qahalath city, for there shall be no more come into you the uncircumcised or unclean. Now you see why you got to be circumcised when you come to Pasach. Well, you ain't coming up in there. He's like, when you go to Jerusalem, I told you, Jerusalem, New Jerusalem, Chdsh Jerusalem, the one that's coming from above, but we see a Malkuth that come from above, right? You got these little buildings, Yahushua, none of y'all, in the matter of fact, none of these buildings actually made the specification of how they made the temple anyway. They just rent out a place and they be like, yeah, that's the, no, dude, don't do that. And then you're going to say that's Jerusalem. Don't do that. You're going to mess up. Yahuwah making 12 temples not made with hand. It's on the inside. Shake yourself from the dust and rise and be seated, Jerusalem. Loose the bonds from your neck, O captive daughter of Solomon. For thus says Yahuwah, you were sold for nothing. And you shall be redeemed without money. How you going to be redeemed? You were not redeemed with corruptible things, silver and gold, precious blood of Yahushua Mashiach. That's why I say, eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. And when you drink that blood, and you ingest it, rouse yourself when the sun rises. Because when the sun rises, that's who you going to pick. When Yahushua prayed all night, who he picked? When the people woke up. Man, you woke. Man, I'm up. Okay, guess what? I'm getting ready to get crucified. You up, you wait. Make sure you watch what I get ready to do. Make sure you see everything I'm getting ready to do from the 6th to 9th hour, and they falsely accuse me and all this stuff, and I get thrown in the grave and put in before the 15th day. Make sure you woke up. Make sure you're awake now. Matter of fact, make sure you break out in the song too. Don't be weeping like them other women did. Don't be weeping like them other women did. Make sure you break out in the song. Make sure I want to hear some songs while I'm up there. Matter of fact, Make sure you do this too. Make sure you follow me all the way through. Make sure you watch everything. Get all the details, write down everybody who was involved. Make sure you know them all. Why? Because the Chdsh ain't gonna judge the world. You gotta be alert to do that. For thus says Yahuwah Elohim, my people went down at first into Mizraim to join there, and the Assyrians oppressed them for nothing. Now therefore, what do you mean oppressed for nothing? They ain't pay them. They made them work for free. Now therefore, what have I here, declares Yahuwah, seeing that my people are taken away for nothing? Their rulers wail, declares Yahuwah Elohim continually, and all the day my name is despised. Therefore my people shall know my name. Oh, do you know his name? My people gonna know my name. Because his name started with a yod. Therefore, in that day they shall know that it is I who speak. Here I am. What do you mean? They shall know that it is I who speak. Here I am. Hey, how y'all doing? Here I am. Because before Abraham was, before he got a circumcision, he said, before Abraham was, I am. Here I am. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good basura, good news. He said, man, you know Yahushua stripped all his towel. He was butt naked washing people's feet. That's funny. That's stupid. He said, you wash your feet, you clean them. He took off his outer garment. He took off all his clothes and took on the towel. He took off his whole garments and washed my feet like a naked lamb. Naked little man, right? It makes no sense. He said, you don't understand it now. Naked I came in the world, naked I'm going to leave. You just got to understand. I'm a servant. I'm a servant, man. I'm like Adam. Because what was Adam? Butt naked. I'm an Adam and I'm a servant. He was not ashamed, too. Yahushua was like. And he wasn't ashamed. You notice that, right? He said, man, that's crazy. I said, I know. That's why people follow Yahushua. It seems like you rebelling. Man, crazy. Man, it's crazy. Man, I'm just telling you. If you're going to follow him, if you're going to do what he do, just understand. People going to watch you and be like, man, this dude is absolutely insane. Yeah, exactly. Who publishes shalom, so who brings good news of happiness, who publishes salvation, who say to Saum, your Elohim reigns. So who should be people ain't never read the other stuff. Who should be doing crazy stuff? Boy. I know we know it, but I'm just saying though, you should be doing wild stuff, man. Stuff you gotta do. The voice of your watchmen, there it is. They lift up their voice together. Together they sing for joy, for eye to eye they see the return of Yahuwah to Saum. So you gotta have your iron open. It's not that much watching. You see the return of Yahuwah to Saum. How are you gonna return to Saum? By giving them knowledge, wisdom, and understanding back. By giving the intellectual properties back. By bringing them back. So that word for strength, it says or put on strength. That word for strength is Oz. And we ain't talking about no wizard. He say, put on Oz. And guess what? You got to see it too. It's the same word. You got an iron in the front. You got to see it. It says might, strength, physical, personal, social, or political. He say, put on Oz. Force, praise, majesty. All he told Deborah, Deborah. Or Oz, boldness, loud, might, power, strength, strong. Right, that's all a part of it. Right, so that word for beautiful, it says, or Oz, sound. That word for beautiful is tikfarah. He say, put on your tikfarah, beauty, splendor, glory, beauty, finery, garments, renown, honor of the nation of Yasharal, boasting of individual, concretely, beauty, your bravery, your majesty, your tikfarat. That goes even further than that. But he said, put on your tikfarat. Because that's what Yahushua had on his garments. Didn't he have on his garments? But then he took them off, though. He had on his tikfarat. He had on his garments. Then he said, you know what? Let me show you what Adam did. Adam was naked. He was a servant. They bought in the garden. Shir HaShirim, Shir Shirim, Song of Shalom, 8:1-7. Oh, that you were like a brother to me, who nursed at my mother's breast. And wasn't that Judas? If I found you outside, then they find Yahushua outside. It's going to happen in a couple of hours right now. I'm telling you before it happens. I will kiss you. Didn't he kiss him? The one whom I kiss. That's you. And none would despise me. I will lead you and bring you into the house of my mother. Didn't he bring him back to Pilate's house? Into the chief priest? She used to teach me. And didn't they teach Judas, right? They taught him too. They taught him to betray Yahushua, you traitor. I will give you spiced wine to drink and juice of my pomegranate. That's why it's red. He said, eat my flesh and drink my blood. He said, man, that stuff good for you. People have no idea. It's good for your blood. It's good for your inward parts. His left hand is under my head. That's what his kaf. And his right hand embraces me. That's his yad. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, that you not, same word, and you got to see it, or awaken, so or ahaba, love, until it pleases. He said, you awaken that love. He said, don't, he said, until it pleases. Who is that coming from the wilderness leaning on her beloved? Who is that? She leaned on her beloved. Under the apple tree, I awakened you. You know, a fruitful tree, you know, like patience, like Oz. Because it's feminine. Because the apple tree is a feminine tree. It bears fruit. I awakened you under a feminine tree. There your mother was in labor with you. It's a feminine tree. There she who bore you was in labor. That feminine tree that in the apples is in labor. That's the apples are you. And you're that awakened fruit on the tree. And when you get that, when that happens, set me as a seal upon your heart. Having this seal, Yahuwah knows those are his. Matter of fact, loose not the four winds at the four corners to the Kodashim are sealed in their forehead. As a seal upon your arm. For love is strong as death. Jealousy is fierce as the grave. Its flashes are flashes of fire, the very flame of Yahuwah. Many waters cannot quench a haba. You know, it don't matter how much cold water you throw in your body, right? If you know how I say, you can throw as much cold water on your body, that stuff ain't going nowhere. It's gonna come right back. Many waters cannot quench a haba, neither can floods drown it. You can't drown it. If Satan come in like a flood, you can't drown love. A haba is gonna always be here. If a man offered for love all the wealth of his house, man, I'll trade everything in for a haba, a love. He would be utterly despised. He's like, man, ain't no way you could purchase it. You know that thing say, I don't want that. You can't even purchase it. That type of love that cannot be quenched, that floods cannot even drown. All the stuff in your house that you own won't be able to buy it. It won't. It won't. No matter how much you got. This should move Exodus 21 through 2. 3 more slides. Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. How he do that? Through Yahushua Mashiach. What then? Are we to sin because we are not under the law, but under Khan? Absolutely not. By no means. Do not do that. Do you not know that if you present yourselves to anyone as obedient slaves, you are slaves to the whom you obey, either of sin, which leads to death, or obedience, which leads to righteousness? So it's best you don't do this without being circumcised. But thanks be to Elohim that you who were once slaves to sin became obedient from the heart to the standard teaching to which you were committed. And having been set free from sin, because that's the whole point of this whole thing. Having become slaves to righteousness, that's what this is. I am speaking in human terms because of your natural limitations. For just as you once presented your members as slaves to impurity, lawlessness, leading to more lawlessness, so now present your members as slaves to righteousness, leading to sanctification. That's what we're doing for 16 days. For when you were slaves of sin, you were free in regard to righteousness. But what fruit were you getting at the time from the things of which you are now ashamed? That apple tree, you know that apple tree. What fruit you were getting? Now you ashamed of the stuff you were doing. That was the fruit. You look at the stuff people do today. For the end of those things is death. For the wages of sin is death. That's the fruit of your life. But now that you have been set free from sin and have become slaves to Yahuwah, the fruit you get leads to sanctification and its end in eternal life. The wages of sin is death. But the free gift of Elohim is eternal life in Mashiach Yahushua, our Master. Right? This is Luke 10, 22 to 23. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father. And no one knows the Son knows who the Father is except the Son. And those whom the Son chooses to reveal him. So who you think? How you understand all that? Man, he ain't choose you. Yes, he did. Because he chooses to reveal it himself. He pray all night, man. Be praying. And then what do you think happens when you do that? You'll choose rightly. He said you may pick a Judas, but you'll be able to see him when your circle ain't that big. When you're too big, you ain't gonna see him. Right? That's why he picked 12. He's like, I'm gonna pick 12. That's it. I can see Judas right there. I got 100,000. I couldn't see Judas in there, man. About one out of 12 is a Judas in every 12. So if you got over 24 people, there's 2 Judases in there. Add more, right? How many Judas you can get about 5. You get to 100, you'll probably have like 7 Judases in you, right? About 7. It'll be about 7 Judases in there, right? Give or take. Unless he corrupt everybody like Kurok, then you got way more Judases you got. Then he turned his disciples and said privately, Barak are the eyes that see what you see. See, can you see now? He said, I ain't Deborah, awake, or Deborah, or Deborah, or put on your garments, your tefillin, or. Can you see? He said, Barak are the eyes that see what you see, because everybody can't see it. Even though you're saying it, even though you're speaking it, even though you're saying it, they can't see it. They'll go and mix it up with something else and try to fling it back at somebody else, and they're going to mess up. But they can't see it. For I tell you that many Nabi'im and kings and Malachim wanted to see what you see, but did not see it, and hear what you hear, but did not hear it. You know why? Because the wages of sin is death. Because they died. They weren't here long enough to hear it. Sirach 3, 17 to 23. My son and daughter, go on thy business and ain't new. So should I be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. Ain't new. Because everybody can't see it. So you got to be even more humble. And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. That's why we're going to keep that favor. Many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the Anu, the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honored with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength, thy eyes. Because you know, eyes is right, put on strength, right? But then you start seeking the wisdom. I assure you that's above your strength. You're like, man, that ain't gonna overpower me. I got all this power with my cough, right? But then you start seeking after it, I assure you that wizard gonna take over your body. And then you're gonna be an avatar for them. They're gonna be controlling you everywhere you go. Seriously. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Some things that people see, they don't need to see. Like Ham. Notice that Yahushua didn't do none of that stuff in secret though. He stripped that thing right off in their face. None of it done in secret. He did it right in their face. But Ham did that stuff in secret. He was like, "Cursed be Ham." Right? And he ain't say it like I said it. He probably said some other stuff. Who knows what he said, right? But I know he didn't say it like I said it. He said a lot more than that. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men, women, children, Malachim, and Nabi'im understand. Because even the Nabi'im that you read about couldn't even understand a lot of these things. So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at Pasach. We look at that moving in haste. That's what we're getting ready to do now. But at the same time, everything happens for a reason. And nothing just happens. In life, you got to always understand everything happens for a reason. Even as Yahushua said, you don't understand what I'm doing now, but you eventually will. And you're going to laugh too, like Abraham did. Matter of fact, you're going to laugh. Man, you're going to laugh so hard, you're going to be like, man, I can't even believe I let him do that. But in actuality, everything he did was all fulfillment of the Torah. So that his love extends past what we call human love. For not even a flood can even overthrow it. Not even any water can quench the fire of the harbor that he had for us by sending his son Yahushua. But by sending his son Yahushua, he gave us life. And that's the life that one should celebrate within oneself. That's the life that gives you life. But it's eternal life to know him. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Anu shall inherit the Eras.